A&R, catalog management, artist and client services. But my biggest job roles are pitching music directly to music supervisors, and then also running our custom music division and having music created for specific spots or just like for general needs and things like that. So definitely no stranger to the creative process. And I'm really excited to hear some awesome demos from you guys.
Beautiful. Just by curiosity, were you ever a musician?
Yeah, so I have been singing since, like to my parents' chagrin, since I was very, very young. And have always been a musician, have always been musically involved, and ended up going to college for a combination vocal performance and music business major.
Ah,
so, yeah.
The reason why I ask is because I always tell people that all of my friends who are executives were all the good executives. So this is a shout out to you as well. All the good executives are also musicians or were musicians because their ear is really fine tuned, and they can. And when I say this, like sometimes you send in a song, they can tell you what's missing because they actually can hear it. Where some other executives I worked with go, I don't know, it's just not right yet. Like I don't know, and then you're kind of going, oh. So it's really cool that you said that because I tell people in our group all the time is when you build your network, you never know who's going to become your executive. It could be your best friend. They could say, you know what, I've been singing for a while, but I'm having a family and I don't want to go on tour. And I'd rather just use my ear for A&Ring and finding talent. And then that could be your best friend. Like you don't know, especially when you're in this business long enough. So that's the reason why I asked.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's very true. And yeah, we've definitely all worked with, even on the business side, like we've all worked with people who, don't come from a musical background, and it does get a little tough. When someone's just like, yeah, I don't know, I just don't like it, or, it's like, okay, we need some more specific feedback than that. But yeah.
Agreed. So just out of curiosity, is there any things that have happened recently that you're excited about? Like any wins that you got recently that you're like, that was cool?
Yeah. So I actually, over this past week, I just got like an 18 song, like bulk kind of placements with MTV Cribs. So that was just cool because it's something that like my artists will actually watch and go in. Yeah, and they'll go in. They were really excited, and it was just cool to have that much music in the season.
Yeah.
And then we also had a song that I actually creative directed get a spot in Hard Knocks, the Dallas Cowboys season that's on right now. And so that was really cool to see.
We're right next to each other then. I got 2 of those.
So nice.
It must have been, it was like 2 weeks ago. So it must have been the week when they were getting a bunch
of
them.
Yeah, that's totally cool. Well, congratulations to you as well.
Thank you. One of our other mentors, it's me and him, Easy McCoy. I don't know if you've ever heard any of his stuff, but anyone who knows Easy McCoy, we got a bunch of songs on that. Great. Okay, so what I'm going to do, hop right into it today. I'll play these songs. We're only going to play up to the first chorus because that's usually how it is in a real meeting. If songs really good by the first chorus, then it's usually listened to longer. But for the most part, by the first chorus, everyone kind of understands it. So we're going to stop there so everyone gets a chance. What we'll do is when I finish the song, I'll put up the poll so everyone can vote on what they think. Sarah, if Sarah can go first, give her thoughts about it. I will give mine as well. And then Ben, if he has anything he wants to add, can say, here's something else I hear. And then we'll just keep going. Sarah, I think you're here for about 2 hours with us or something like that. Correct? Okay, great. So we'll try to get through everyone. That's the goal. If not, sometimes people stay longer. And there's a lot of people who like to continue this. Some of these sessions have gone 5 hours. I'm not doing 5 hours today, either Sarah, but who knows? We'll see where y'all take it. Okay, that being said, let's pull it up first. If someone is not here, I'm not going to play the song. So I'm just going to shout out your name. And if you are here, just feel free to tap out and just say, let me know that you're here. Is there a Megan Castrolia? No. Is Maya, do you have a song here?
Hey, Adam. Yeah. Hey. So I initially submitted one, but I actually the other day submitted one that I prefer to have heard if it's just like a one.
Okay. Is that the second one that you submitted?
Yeah, it's the second one.
Okay, great. I see it.
Yeah.
All right. Let me pull that one up. All right. It's loading right now. And let me share my sound. There we go.
I'm on your trail. You can run, you can hide. But when it's done, only I will survive. And you're alone, and I know. Raising my blade, your heart is racing. There's no escape, nowhere to go. I will be all you can see in the dark of the night. You're gold. I'm out the blood. Your time has come. I'll be the chill down your spine, taking you dead or alive. And when you cry, I will.
Okay, so that was the end of the first chorus, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Sarah?
should I put my lyrics here too?
Yeah, so that was awesome. I really love just kind of like, first of all, like your vocal quality is really, really cool. And love just like how you attack the chorus. And just like how mysterious and kind of cinematic it already sounds. I'm wondering, I like that the first chorus is like kind of stripped. Like you definitely add some elements when you jump in. But I'm wondering, do you kind of like build from there, and does it get more intense as the song goes on, or?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And then there's also a break after the second chorus where it like really builds out cinematically, and then it goes back to a final chorus there too.
Awesome. Yeah. Because that's my only thing is I love that you leave room for growth. And especially like from a sync perspective, that's something that is like that we're always constantly asking for, is like you need like distinct sections in the song that music editors can cut between depending on what the scene needs. And so yeah, that's really cool. I'm assuming so like does like percussion like kick in right after the first chorus?
Yeah, it does build
Okay, cool.
more throughout there. Yeah.
I'm going to play that part because I want to hear that as well. And please go ahead. Is that poll up? Can everybody see it? Okay. So feel free to please put your answers in there if it's up. Okay, let me see the production you're saying.
Fear in your head, your bones. I am the shadow consuming your mind, 'cause you know I'm close.
This is the second chorus, correct?
Oh yeah, it is.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I think like I really like that it kind of gets like trailerized as it goes on and like very intense, like the big percussion. I definitely think it could be cool if it was like something a little bit more, or if there was an added element that was like a little bit more like consistent, because every once in a while it will drop out and it just kind of sounds like an a cappella vocal in certain sections. So I think if there was something kind of like building underneath, even if it's small, until you build into the more trailerized stuff, I think that could be really cool.
Awesome.
But I really like the song overall. It's awesome.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great. So depending on what you're going to do, I mean, I kind of feel like you have a couple sections here, and one is almost a bit undelivered, and it's definitely the chorus. Like the Out for Blood part is an amazing title, right? So when you go to that note, actually, it sounds so good. And then it just kind of keeps repeating up there. But you kind of could just do, I'm out for blood, You know, you can really just ride that Out for Blood thing because it's such a good title. And that's what I would kind of look at, because you're hitting a very similar thing, saying, I'll be your spine, I'll be the ghost, I'll be it's like you're kind of saying very similar things. I'm Out for Blood says a lot. And I think if you keep that as your whole concept, I'm not, I know it's a title, but like, just because you ended also and say something like Taking You Dead or Alive. So it sounds like Dead or Alive could be the title too.
I was sort of thinking that, yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would just circle everything around for Out for Blood, and really just make that part super anthemic. And it should hit, honestly, the first chorus. Because if you're waiting for someone to wait to the second one, and then they do like what I did, where I skip forward, and then the anthemic part was really just about an energy of a 4, then they're gonna like, oh, this song could have been so much bigger, and they could have had this on a big trailer or a big movie. It has the anthemicness. Because if you're talking about sync, and it sounds like you wrote it with a sync similar intention, the minute you do something minor, you're not going on a commercial usually, unless it's a trailer for something. But like cars and technology and all that stuff is not going to say anything. With Blood is not going to be in the title. It's just going to be really hard, because most sync songs that are in commercials are more upbeat, happier, just tend to, right? I'm just talking about majority, not everything. Now trailers would love this. You know, this could be like Billions TV show. And there's a lot of trailers I could see, or video games, totally up with all that stuff, right? So I think you would really benefit from having an anthemic section. So that way you already have, if the editor needs the low key part, which you sound great on, and they also have this big anthemic part with like maybe horns and something really cool and anthemic. And then they're like, we have these parts to edit with. So that's what I would look at, and really just revolve around that title rather than doing all of these other words up there in the chorus, which aren't really probably helping or needed in the sense.
Okay. So like more stripped down or more relevant to Out for Blood?
No, it's like, I'm out for blood.
Just let this, yeah, okay.
Like chants, like something, and maybe some other words, something da 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 da, because I'm out for blood. Like just give me that, because that's where the meat and potatoes are, and that's what I want to sing along with the most, at least, you know. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem.
Cool. I have some things to say, definitely too. If you don't mind. Maya loved it. You know, I like TV and film stuff, so that's like right up my alley. Anything with like big drums and boom, 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 you know, that's what I was kind of expecting at the chorus though. And it kind of dipped down, so the energy just kind of sat there with everything else. So from a production side, maybe having those massive drums and a string piece, and for some reason, it kind of reminded me of that Gnarls Barkley song, Crazy. I got this vibe from it. And
oh my gosh, does that make me crazy?
Yeah, that's what
I think it's like hitting the same note.
Totally,
Totally right.
Yeah.
So that was on my mind. I was like,
Oh, that's crazy. That's so funny.
And I think the Out for Blood phrase is awesome. I think really like honing in on that, like kind of taking all that information, consolidating it so that it encapsulates the message, right? I think that that's where you can make a really strong sing song. That's something that's repetitive, you know, gets in people's heads. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Awesome. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Maya. Okay, let's see the next song. And was everyone able to vote on that poll thing? Did that work? Did it share the results too? It did. Okay. Because on my side, it wasn't showing. Okay, great. All right. Let's go to the next song. Let's see. All right. Is Jacqueline here? Jacqueline's here. Okay, great. Here we go, Jacqueline.
Cold wind blowing in the west, it cuts you to the bone, solid like a stone. Barren wasteland spreading out for miles, be careful. Wichita man. This life is deadly, he'll catch you if you let him. He's the Wichita man, the Wichita man. There's a black.
All right, Sarah.
Hey, so I think just immediately kind of the first thing that stood out to me is that the vocal track could probably come down a little bit more in the mix and just like sit a little more evenly with the instrumentation. And I think it could be cool, like depending on what direction you want to take the song in, like production wise, because I know that it's seems like it's pretty like going to be like pretty heavily electronic based, but then you have kind of like the twang in the vocal. So I'm curious to know like what direction you're looking to take it in production wise.
Well, the inspiration is Bad Company, the song Bad Company by Bad Company. So it's going to be for a new artist project and potentially for sync, depending on how well I can get the production and the vocals and everything. But I don't play guitar, so it is something I could potentially tap somebody who is an actual guitar player to make it less electronic. Gotcha. But yeah, I'm limited to sort of the samples that I was able to get.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think like if you're trying to like take it to more of a kind of like a little bit more of like a, I don't know how to describe, like maybe like a gin with more kind of like vibe. I think like if you put a filter on the vocal as well, that could be really cool. Okay. And then if you're looking to do something specifically for sync, the one thing that kind of stood out to me in the lyrics is that you repeat like the state Wichita like multiple times. Yeah. And so, like if it's just kind of in passing in a verse, it usually doesn't matter very much, but like the more specific you get in your lyrical content, the more it can kind of preclude you from, or preclude the song from being, like versatile for multiple things. Cause like if they're in like North Dakota, in the show or whatever, and then it's like repeating Wichita over and over again, sometimes it can be distracting to the audience. Or sometimes the supervisor will just be like, well, why would I do that? And so I think those are just kind of the biggest things that stood out to me. But yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. So as far as production, I know that you're just learning production now, which is good because then you're still developing and putting things together. And so if you're looking at things structurally, you're understanding, okay, here's my intro, here's my verse, I want to go into this chorus part, and you're putting sonic information in all these pieces so it feels like it's building. So I totally understand those things. So for that, I'm going to say great, right? Now what I need to help you with is just starting to develop the ear for the right tone of sounds that go together when it comes to what kind of production you're trying to create. So for instance, like, is this the best drum samples that are used? Is this the best maybe electronic sound being used? So that way, not only are you understanding where you want certain parts, but how does the sound correlate and connect with the other sounds? Does it create something that actually you want to hear, like, oh, this sounds so good? Or does it create something that you're like, oh, this sounds okay for me to write to, right? And that's just a step in production that happens. It's not like you'll know it first off. Some people have a natural ear for it. Some people like myself have to develop an ear for that. And then you start to tweak things until you really start to understand, okay, this is the sound I want. So what I hear here is like pieces of good ideas. And I think just tonally, we got to find the right tones for them. So the best way to do this is to actually study the tones of the sounds that you like and try to find that actual tone. Because if you say, oh, they're playing, a kick and a snare in this section, and you go, okay, yeah, it's technically what they're doing. But how big is the kick? How fat is that snare? What kind of, is there reverb on it? Is there compression on it? Is those little details? It's kind of like the difference between, is there salt or pepper on a meal? Once you start to know the difference, you're like, oh, they added salt on that. They added pepper. So it's about fine tuning that ear for those things. And in some cases, actually like looking for those drum samples from that, because there's tons of drum samples out there, right? So you can find that in their guitar. So for all those things, this is definitely, I can tell because you've been coming, so I can hear how your songs have progressed. So on that part, I say, keep going, good job. But I also agree with the chorus. It's kind of one of those things that it got to it and then it didn't have any more energy to it. So everything felt linear. So the same note that you started your song with is the same note that you're singing in the chorus. So there's no new information that I was given.
Yeah.
If anything, the Wichita man comes down.
Yeah.
So the verse almost has more of a melody than the chorus does. So I feel just structurally, it was kind of lacking in giving the person like this ride. Because here's the best way to break down emotionally what songs create for all of us, which is either a really good story that you are just, oh, this is so interesting. Like Chris Stapleton, if you ever listen to his music, his stories are so good that you're just like, whoa. And Hosier has really interesting stories and you're like, oh, these are really good stories. So you'll pay attention to them. They have a very lush recording and they can do all organic instruments and you wouldn't care because the voice and the stories are so good.
Yeah.
When you go past that though, a lot of what people are getting is adrenaline rushes because they have a part where they can all sing along with because they want to. It's that feeling of wanting to sing along with. Now, if you don't have a really compelling story and you don't have a part that brings adrenaline, what it does is it creates a linear movement. And eventually people will go, okay, this is cool, but like, I want that chemical that makes me feel that sensation, right? So I would just say, look at those things and really try to break down when you're listening at songs, what made those songs that you like stand out. So I know you said the Bad Company one. So like really look at it as like, is it the production? Is it the guy's voice? Is it the way he attacked the microphone? Because there's all those things lean to why you like something. It's not just I would like it because it was that track. It's like how that person sing that track. You know, so there's those, look at all those elements and you'll start to notice as you start to be very more detailed towards what you like in something, you'll be more detailed when you hear something you're making going, okay, that's close to what I want, but it's not all the way there yet. And then you'll keep kind of digging for that.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, cool. If you don't mind, I can say some things about it as well that might help out. So in terms of like the drums, what you can do is you can route the drums into one bus and then compress them so that it makes it all consistent. Because right now that sounds a little bit thin. So if you do that, you can make it really nice and thick, and then it'll complement all the other elements in the track. Yeah, the vocal mix, I agree. You know, maybe some effects. Did you add layers to the vocal, or is it just one vocal?
I did, but it's all the same take basically. So I want to redo the vocals, and also I've been working with Maya. She gave me some good tips for my vocal chain and everything. So the vocals will be redone and have backing and all that stuff.
Great, awesome, sweet. And yeah, you can definitely find somebody to play guitar. Like it doesn't have to be super elaborate. It just, I guess, from a vague term, just catchy, you know. So, but that's, you know, super easy to do. So, but great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Cool. All right. Next up is Jorbel here? Jorbel?
Hi, yeah.
Hey, Jorbel. Okay, here we go.
How are you?
Good.
This song is in Spanish, so I'm gonna give you the lyrics in English here.
Perfect. Yeah, if you can pop them in the chat.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Lo que yo sentía no te incumbía, sin preocupaciones lo entiendo. No hay villano alguno que arruinó este cuento. Mi corazón se cansó, sembró un amor que no se pudo cosechar. De tanto esperar, descompuesto acabará. Perdonar es una virtud, aunque nunca te juzgué como culpable. Avanzar con buena actitud, no tengo que rendirle cuentas a nadie. Si tengo algo que decir es gracias por nada. Si tengo algo que decir es que Contigo aprendí a amar, no porque me lo hayas demostrado. Contigo aprendí a escuchar, porque siempre en silencio has estado. Contigo aprendí a amar, no porque me lo hayas demostrado. Hablo con...
Cool. Well, I think first off for me, I just wish there was more, like there were more elements at play kind of supporting the vocal during the first verse. It feels just like a little bit bare, and it's kind of all vocal. And so I wish that there was some of that, the instrumentation that supports the chorus kind of, even if it was on a more limited basis, underscoring like that first and supporting that first verse. And then I think similarly to what we were just discussing with just like, you know, the differences between verses and choruses and in your melody and the top line, just kind of like the same thing where it's like the chorus definitely was different than the verses, but it wasn't quite different enough to make it feel like there were real distinct sections. And so I would love to kind of just like, I would love to see that top line melody like tweaked a little bit just so that it feels distinctly different. But yeah, I think that's what stood out the most for me.
Okay, first let me ask you this question. Am I saying your name right too? Is it Jorbel? Okay, Jorbel. Jorbel, what's your intention with this song?
Well, it was inspired by commercial pop, like artists.
No. Hold on, real quick, Jorbel. I said, what is your intention? Not the inspiration. What is your intention?
Okay. Well, I don't know how to explain it. I mean,
like, let me ask you: Are you looking to record a song because you're releasing it as a project, as a real artist? Or are you looking to do it because you want to pitch to TV and film? Are you looking to release on a Spotify? Like, what's your intention?
Sorry. Yeah, to release it for an artist. Yeah.
Okay. And
as an artist. Sorry.
Okay, great. And then when you say to release it as an artist, are you saying to where you want to put this out publicly and then try to build a fan base with this song in its current form?
Yes.
Okay. Have you studied production at all before?
But all by myself. I started almost December of the last year. I started.
Okay. So you've been doing production for about a year, you said. Okay. Okay. And I just have one last question. Is there a reason why you want to put this out as an artist now? Is there something that you're like, I want to do because I feel like I'm ready for it? Or you're just kind of like, everyone else is putting music out, so why not me? Like, what's your real intention for doing it?
Okay, I always wanted to do it, you know.
Okay.
Since I was a kid, but just for fear, I didn't do it. I started studying these things. Sorry, I'm so nervous right now.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I had a lot of problems when I was a kid, so I didn't start studying. So I made it this year because I wanted so bad, you know?
Okay. All right. So here's what I'll suggest. When you say that you want something really bad, it's a great thing to want things. It's also really great when you put the intention and your attention towards being really great at what you put out into the world. Because the only way you're going to see the reflection of what you most likely want, because now that I'm hearing you talk, you most likely you want to, it sounds like, build a fan base, that people like your music, share your music. That's why you're doing this, right? To kind of share your story, it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what best would benefit you is to, instead of just want to put things out into the world, which is a global marketplace, it might be better to take some time to develop the craft that you're talking about before you go out there like that. And the reason why I'm saying this is because in today's society, which it's never happened before in history, like before, most people were like real professional musicians. If we talk about like 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, everyone was a professional musician. 60s, people were just walking the studios and they do something in one take. Ray Charles was a one taker. You know, this is the level of musicianship that used to be out there. But now because of Pro Tools and because of samples, a lot of people just, you know, get things and like, I just want to put it out. But what I tend to notice is that they don't get the reflection of what they actually want, which is a connection with real fans or like their career moving forward. And the only reason why they don't get that is because the music isn't reached the quality level that the marketplace deserves yet. So here's what I would just suggest, and just take it from me, just being my perspective, right? You don't got to listen to it. But if you're looking to get what you just said, it'd be best if you took time to work on your vocals, because some of the timing is a bit off, some of the pitch is a bit off, right? So what I would do, if you don't have like a lot, like you said, you've been doing things on your own, YouTube videos are great. There's so many great YouTube videos from a lot of great vocal coaches that are out there, and they give away a lot of secrets. And some people even in my group said they've taken like these online courses for 30 days and it's helped them tremendously, and they're not too expensive. So I would look into that. Now, if you're going to produce your own music, which it sounds like you did on this one, I highly recommend studying music production, which you can, I'm going to give you the fast tips to this for anyone else out there who's looking to learn music production. First, you got to give yourself certain realistic goals, right? That's the first part. So if you're just going online and looking at things, but there's no real goal to it, you can just spend years just looking up stuff. But I'm going to tell you the quickest way to learn, which is this. First, you got to understand your DAW. So you got to know what every button does. What DAW do you use right now?
FL Studio.
FL Studio. Okay. You need to know what every button does. And on top of that, you need to make custom keyboard shortcuts for all those buttons.
Okay.
So that way, when you're editing, you're not thinking, you're just like typing really fast.
Okay.
Because the thinking process is where people spend time. So you want to make everything custom keyboard shortcut. You want to understand your DAW by doing this one quick trick. Go onto YouTube and type in tips and tricks for FL Studio, right? And watch at least 10 videos. What you'll get out of this is that everyone's tips and tricks are different. So that means you'll get 100 tips and tricks from people who think that that's the best tip and trick that they're teaching is that 10. You'll watch 10 videos, you get 100 of them. So in 1 month, if you just wake up each day and just tips and tricks and watch a different video next day, and practice what you're doing, in 1 month, you can literally go from being okay to being like a whiz and just zooming around really quick. That's the first part. Next, you have to understand signal flow. You have to understand how the flow is captured and how it can be manipulated. So you want to study signal flow, which is the flow of the audio sound going into your DAW and then what you're going to do to manipulate it. You have to study that. It's imperative. Okay. Most people don't even look at signal flow and they just sing into a microphone. And then they're like, why does my song not sound like that song? And I'm like, what kind of microphone? What kind of plugins? What kind of DAW? What kind of, it's all connected. Right. And the last part I'll say, this will help you, is find 5 producers that every song they put out, you're like, that's a really good song. Like, that's a really good song. Listen to their biggest hits. So find 5 producers, listen to their biggest hits, and study.
I usually have them.
Okay. And study each section in 8-bar sections. And you'll see that the producers all have this, they have their own tricks. They have their own patterns that they use, their own formulas. Once you can start to study their formulas, you can say, okay, this is what Timbaland would do. This is what Max Martin would do. This is what Calvin Harris would do. This is what so-and-so would do. And when you know what everyone would do, you also know when you get stuck, maybe I should try this one. Maybe I should try that. But you have options instead of getting stuck and go, well, I don't know what to do at all. So if you do just those 3 things and you do that for about 5 months, I guarantee you'll come back to something and be like, whoa, I've changed everything and I didn't have to spend $250,000 to go to Berkeley to do it. But you have to be held accountable too. And so I don't know your schedule, but you got to be putting in a couple hours a day. This stuff doesn't come by half an hour a day, 1 hour a day. People love to think that. I mean, you got to be putting in 3, 4, 5, maybe, like I put in 8 hours a day sometimes, just to practice and get better at this stuff. But 5 months, start doing it. Then you'll listen to this song and you'll go back and be like, oh, I see what I can do there. Transition there, add a bass right there. Oh, this part could have had a drop right here. My vocal was a little bit off time. You'll figure out all the stuff in between. So that's what I would say, because I don't want to really judge this song, because I don't think this song is ready to be judged. or critiqued really. But if anything, I want to just help your mindset before you start to put things out to the public, especially if you want the intention of what you just mentioned.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And yeah, it's Jorbel, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so with Adam's suggestions, they're mid to long term, definitely. So if there's a short-term goal that I could suggest, one thing I definitely just delve into the YouTube videos. It's a cheat code. Like, you can learn so much from just watching these YouTube videos. They literally tell you the blueprint right there in that. And I suggest also Pro Tools, learning Pro Tools. It's industry standard, DAW. Yeah, in terms of like production, like Adam said, I don't personally think it's at a place to critique as well. But I mean, there's so much that can be learned from it. And it's awesome that you're starting this journey. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
All right, great. Let's see. Next song we got is Shawn Thompson here. Shawn, okay. Let me pull up your song.
This sounds really bad, but I can't remember which song I put in, and I've got 3 lots of lyrics here to cover.
You got the funky monster.
Okay, 2 seconds.
Cool. Here we go.
Okay, sorry, it's not, the lyrics aren't pasting into the chat for some reason.
Oh, it's all right. For anyone else trying to do the lyrics, what happens is, I think Zoom has a certain cutoff amount of characters, so you have to send it in sections where it's like verse, pre-chorus, chorus. Just heads up. All right, Sarah.
That was super fun. I'm a Halloween person, like it's my favorite thing. So I was very entertained. I definitely would I like how quirky it feels, and it definitely feels kind of like a Halloween related song with like the elements that you chose. And I love like the big horns and those big horn sections. I do wish that the samples were just like a little fuller. Like with the horns specifically, just that the brass sounded like a little bit more like meaty. Because right now they just sound like a tiny bit thin, and I think they could be really they could be a lot more impactful. And then other than that, I just love like leaning into the quirkiness and kind of in the vocal and in the lyric and like that fun element. And maybe bringing some more power to the chorus, I think could be really cool. But overall, like a super fun song.
Thank you. When you say more power to the chorus, do you mean production wise or lyric wise?
I think you could not necessarily lyric wise, but with your vocal delivery, I think you could just like punch it up and like it just like come at it in a more powerful way.
Okay. Yep. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Great, Shawn. Real quick, what is your intention for this song?
Well, the song started out as an adult song. I was going for a more adult lyric, and then it kind of morphed into a kid's song. I've got 2 other songs that are kids songs that I'm working on as well. So I thought maybe just as a side project and, you know, production practice, try making some kids songs. So
Okay.
the production, it needs a lot of work, but I feel like the lyrics are pretty flawed in certain areas as well. So I just wanted to get
Okay, let me
feedback
look
on
through your lyrics then.
before I put any more time into the
Yeah,
production.
no, the reason why I asked is because if you said a kid's song, then that makes way more sense to me.
Yeah, right,
You know,
cool.
Yeah, because like if you didn't, I would go, okay, this is a different way I'd be looking at perceiving this.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about like a cartoon, even an adult cartoon, you know, that falls into this, you know, Adult Swim type thing. So let me look at these lyrics. At night when I'm alone in bed and freaky shadows on the walls and blinds start messing with my head. I got a trick that brave kids know. Pretend I'm a singer and it's time for the show. What's in the darkness? Fans calling out my name. What's in the closet? Skeleton to shake, shake, shake. What's under my bed? A home for my guitar and bass. I mean, it sounds like it would be in a cartoon for kids, especially if the kid was a singer. You know, like that would really play to it, or a musician. But even not, it still sounds like it'd be there. The funky monster is rocking my brain. Yeah. Come on, do the funky monster. Okay, when we're talking about kids' lyrics, they're less. I mean less. You know, detailed, because it's kids have big imaginations, so it's easy to say things like what you're saying, and it's not like, oh, that doesn't sound right. It sounds cool for a kid, you know, like the funky monsters in my brain, like that's awesome, you know. So I think exactly what Sarah said about production, I think it's really a production thing, and she's right about being creative with the vocal delivery, like the just being a little bit cool and different and weird and kooky, and I think all that stuff lends to this kind of style. And if you could build up the production for it, then I think this does fit in this place when you do get a brief that says looking for a Halloween song for a, you know, Cartoon Network. This is a easy submission once all those things are done, because there's not going to be a lot of songs like this. You know, I mean, there's not going to be a lot of competition. So when a sync agency goes to the roster, they're going to have this song. And that's the one that they're sending. So I would say, you know, go all the way, make this song really great in the way it's done for that way. And and I think that'll be good. Yeah.
Lyric wise, does it feel flawed in any way?
No, like I said, man, if I was gonna pick apart the lyrics, I would have already done it. Everything I just read back for a kid show will work. If you said I'm releasing as an artist, then I would have a whole different thing.
Yep.
But you said kid show, so yeah. So, you know, I have a brave thing I'm going to do. I want to pretend like I'm a singer in a show, and what's underneath like I remember the lyrics, they jump off the page. And when you're writing for kid shows, it's all about making lyrics that pop off the screen a bit, that are interesting and cool. You know, like that's what makes it fun for a kid. So that's why lyrically, I'm like, yeah, makes sense.
Cool. Okay, thanks. That gives me the confidence to really knuckle down on the production.
Yeah. Go all in on it. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Shawn. Just wanted to, that was super fun. I really like that. If you can find a way to get like really live sounding horns that would just like amp it up, like.
Yeah, I'd love live horns, live drums, live bass.
If there's a way, if there's like some VST that you can find that you can do the same thing, like, or if you had the access to someone to actually record it live, then that would be awesome. And I was thinking the entire time John Mark's Happy Feet song. I was like, oh yeah. So
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can find it online.
Yeah, he played it at one of the other demo critiques. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, but John Mark has a good song that's kind of somewhat in the same vein. But it's got some really nice instrumentation to it. So.
So is this from the movie Happy Feet or?
Oh. No, it's just a song that John made, and I wish that Adam had the track itself to play. But yeah, it reminded me of it. And, but yeah, I think just if you can get the horns really settled, that would be really cool.
Yeah, they're driving me nuts at the moment. So.
For sure.
Yeah, horns is one of those interesting things that you try to get good VSTs, and there are some out there, but the best thing is having a couple of friends who play great horns. So what I'd recommend, if you plan on doing a lot of these, is someone said you can go on Fiverr. You totally do that. There's air gigs. There's a bunch of different things you could do to find them. But if you plan on doing a bunch of songs like this, especially if you're going to pitch to the children, get like 10 songs that you know you're going to do, and then just bring in someone for a day and just knock them all out and just pay them like $300 for the day or something. and just do all the songs at once, and then keep a bunch of samples. So just say, hey, just riff over this, and then keep a bunch of samples. So I would do the songs and then have another like 20 minutes of just, after you take a break, stay a little bit longer. I just want just riffs and just different things, stacks of things, because horns are so valuable, especially in sync. They're so valuable because you'll see in briefs, if you look at what they asked for, horns, clapping, you know, see Sarah's shaking her head up and down, right? Horns are asked on a lot of briefs, but not a lot of people play horns. So if you can get someone to lay down a bunch of samples, you can always reuse them, and you can always sample your own self. It goes a long way.
That's a great tip. Great tip. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's see. Up next, we have Hussam. Are you here?
Yes, sir.
All right.
How are you?
Doing good, man. All right, let's see. It's loading up. All right, here we go.
Imagine I could chill on Gaza's beach with you. We could tell each other jokes in Arabic and Hebrew. Looking at the water, breathing, enjoying the view. There's no drama. There's no drama. Imagine children playing in the sand. Castles are the only shelters on this land. People celebrating life with song and dance. There's no drama. There's no drama. Oh, this could be reality. Don't you know war doesn't lead us anywhere? Oh, stop all this brutality. Flashes of rockets flying in the air. We've done this for so many years. We want peace. Let's just eat hummus on the beach.
Okay, Sarah.
Hey there, Hussam. So yeah, like I'm agreeing. The chat's like popping off about with your vocals and the duet, and I definitely agree. I like the way that your voices sound together. It's really awesome, and especially kind of those like really tight, that really tight harmony section under the chorus. I think it's really beautifully done. Yeah, I think just and the message also is awesome, the lyric and the story. I think if anything, like maybe just like I think the verse does a very good job of kind of telling the story about what is going on, and the fact that you do want peace and like no drama and everything like that. I think the chorus, I don't know, like maybe cutting it a little bit or simplifying the chorus a little, I think could make it just more impactful. And I'm not sure exactly like where we would do that, because I don't see a lyric or anything. But yeah, I think like leaving kind of the bulk of the storytelling in the verses, and then just like using the chorus as like the time in which to just drive kind of the point home and just really emphasize like exactly what you're trying to get across, and then leaving the details for the rest of the song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Yeah, actually, I know what Sarah's talking about. I can tell you where that could pop in. So when it goes to, oh, this could be reality. We all want peace. Let's just eat hummus on them. You could just do that as your chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could hit it with a post if you wanted to. because then you can do some sort of vocal together that's really cool, like some sort of really beautiful melody that you both harmonize on. You could do that. And the first time you could just do, let's just see hummus on the beach. And then you do the second verse, you do a full chorus on the second one, and then hit it with a post that everyone feels like they can all sing along with around the world type thing. So I do agree with that. I'll say for me in the verse, it was a little hard for me to understand who was taking the lead at what part, because sometimes you were underneath her and you were kind of singing the same notes. It felt like, and it wasn't always like super tight. There was times where I could hear her like a little bit off. So it kind of threw my ear a little bit. And then I was going, oh, cause I obviously though, but I think I was thrown off because I said, Hassam, are you here? And then I heard her vocal. So my brain was like, wait, am I playing the right song? And then I heard your voice come in on like the third line, and then you kind of took the lead. So because of the switches, I was a little confused. So I don't think you need to necessarily back each other up throughout all the verses. I think it could be, her and then you, and then come together for a harmony part. So that way it's like this blend instead of coming in with all this information. Because the way my ear works, and I don't know about everyone else, but I'm trying to focus on what the storyline is. So once I start hearing other voices, I'm like, wait, even for a brief second, I'm taking myself off the lyric to figure out what's happening. And so I couldn't really super zone in on everything on certain parts. And then other parts, I would get back into the groove and start listening. So I would say you don't need to have all that. It could be just like I said, her, then you, then harmony, maybe cut that chorus in half. Like Sarah said, that's great advice, because I felt like it starts to get a little long there before you hit the big reveal. And then now everyone's in it and they got this thing of like hummus on the beach. Like, okay, now we know what the story is about. And we also know there's a little bit of depth and a little bit of humor in it, because I think that's what it kind of has, right? It's a little like, it's humorous, but it also has a deep message. So I feel like instead of waiting for that reveal, if you hit it a little bit quicker, people are like, okay, I'm in this now. It's not just going to be, a possibly depressing song, which I think having the good balance is always great. When someone could say, listen, we're going through something, but we have to come out of it. And sometimes you got to show the other side that has a little bit more light, So all those things, the snaps, I think they need maybe the compression on them, they felt a little bit too distant for me. Maybe pull them up a little bit more so they can have a little bit more presence, but that could just be my headphones, and my headphones are really sensitive. So if it sounds great on your end, then, go with it. But yeah, that's the only thing I'll just put on here. By chance, because I didn't listen to the rest of it, do you have strings on this song?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You do. Okay. Then nothing I'm going to say, because this seems like a song that you could be pulling the heartstrings on it, because it just has that. You should
definitely listen to the rest of it. There's some like samples we put in there, some drops, and just like stuff that's gonna smack you in the face. So
okay, cool, man. All right, cool. Ben?
Really not much. I mean, that was extremely cute song. Hummus on the beach, I love it. I think one thing that would be really kind of interesting to keep in theme is maybe doing like callback. So like you, her, you, and then both of you, right?
That's the bridge. Sorry.
No, for sure. Yeah. So just like I was saying, just like keeping that in theme, because I just think that that's very cute. It's very Disney, So, but yeah, no real critiques on my end. I think everything's been said. Hassam, good job, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, cool. Let's see who we got next here. Gary. Is Gary here? This is Coral Blue Music. All right, if Gary's not here, is Miriam here?
Yes, hello.
Hey, Miriam, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
All right, here we go.
They say I'm evil, there's no retrieval, it's emptiness. But I say it's healing from all that you're feeling, you're too envious. 'Cause sooner or later you'll all face the day. They say I'm cruel, my ways too brutal to accept. For taking the jewels from the many moments of their happiness.
Sarah?
Cool, Miriam. Super cool. I love just kind of like the mystery and how kind of dark it feels in the verse section, but then how kind of like it still has that feel throughout the chorus, but it gets so lush and goes to kind of like a little bit of like a Lana Del Rey, like playful, but like, still like dark kind of place, which is awesome. I also really loved the Black Swan in your ballet line, like really stuck out to me. That was cool. And I loved the range in the top line. I do think I did get a little bit lost just in like the messaging in the chorus, because the verses the entire time, I feel like I was like sitting on the edge of my chair and I was like, wow, this is cool. And I was listening along. And then in the chorus, it was like, I got so swept up in everything that was happening in the production and the instrumentation that I kind of lost the story a little bit, until you popped up at the end, with the running into each other's arms piece. And so I would just love to kind of have the, like the top line and the story in the chorus, just really, if there's a way to kind of like emphasize that a little bit more than that kind of dreamy, lush production, even though I love it. I think that's where I got like just a little bit lost. But overall, I think this is really cool.
Thank you so much for your critique. Yeah, I totally get what you mean. Yeah, the story, it's a bit, the songs that I write, they usually, I like musicals a lot. I'm singing musicals. It's one of my hobbies. And I always incorporate musical style, cinematic style in the songs that I write. And this one is about the Black Swan is the death. And let's jump into each other's arms. It's just the death who's having a conversation. It's a dialogue or maybe monologue with a person, a living person. So let's jump into each other's arms. Why are you so afraid of me? That's the message. I know it's a bit dark, but at the same time, I think that's what everyone's going to get through anyway at the end. So yeah, that's it. Sorry if it's a little bit too dark, but
oh no, I think that concept is super interesting.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And
Thank you very much.
I would love for that to come out more in the chorus, is like, I want that to be more obvious, because I think that's such a cool theme.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. I'll definitely think about it lyrics wise. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Sarah, what were you saying you wanted to come out more? The theme of what?
Just like that, that theme of like of death and like meeting death and like accepting it, I guess.
Gotcha.
Because that really didn't come through to me in the beginning of the chorus. There was like a big bulk that felt super dreamy and super cool, but like I just wasn't getting that message. And then at the end, I was like, oh, okay, maybe, but it wasn't something that was immediately obvious.
No, because the reason why I asked you is because you said that lyric before. You said the lyric that really stood out to me was the Black Swan lyric, and I agreed. And that's what you have down as the title, Miriam. So I was like, oh, okay, that's the line that popped out the most. And I thought that was really interesting. So Miriam, can I ask you a real quick question as well? So what's your intention with this song?
I would really, really love, this is a dream, and not even a goal, to get it pitched to a TV show, because I think it's very cinematic. And yeah, that's the final goal.
Okay, cool. So, well, first of all, I just want your talent is definitely good enough to be pitched to TV and film. So it shouldn't even be a dream anymore. It should just be like a normal day in the park. You're walking down the street, you can do this. So don't put that in dream world, put it in your goals, like your thing. So I want you to know that part. The second part I'll say though is, if you're trying to get songs on TV and film, what can tend to happen when songs like this is because there is not like a definitive part. If someone goes, oh, we want a dark song, right? They would only be able to take the first section of it. They couldn't use your chorus in any dark scene because the chorus feels major, right? And though in a musical, you might like that, and it might serve as maybe like a turnaround at some point in the song later on. But if the two sections are, one sounds like it has an ominous darkness to it with a really great vocal, and the other one sounds like it's like you said, like a musical with stacks harmonies, almost like I don't want to say queen, but with all the cool harmonies and this really beautiful thing, and you're doing all these vocal parts above it. Now it's hard to hear what you're singing because the mix is very washed. So your vocal gets kind of drowned out in itself, which makes it hard to pitch it for anything sync wise, because you don't know what because you're the narrator basically. And if the narrator all of a sudden is a blend of sonics and there's no actual words, then it really would have a really hard time being pitched, right? So I don't know if this is the song, because this would have to be a very, very particular film or documentary or something going on to say this song is perfect because of the different movements and because of where the mix is right now. But I would say if you have the intention of writing for sync or writing stuff on movies, what I would do if I was you, because you have a musical ear and because you like writing like that, is if you get in with some people did you write this by yourself or did you write this with someone else?
I write my songs all by myself, but I'm actually all about collaboration as well. This one I wrote myself, but the production, I have a friend who was really nice and he helped me out with the production because that's not my forte. Yeah, but the song itself, it's really not mixed yet. Mixed that well. It's still not mastered. The vocals are not clean, so it's really not
so there's
on that
stuff that you're
stage.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's not. It's a demo.
Great. Then I'm not going to go too deep into that because that's really the bulk of things here. Is it's hard to hear certain parts. And then when it comes to, like I said, a pitching for a certain sync, it would have to be a very certain brief that would fit this. So it gets a bit harder when it's something so specific, but as far as your talent, what I would say is if you can take your talent, surround yourself with other people, like there's a bunch of people in this group that write for sync and, they're really good at it, and form alliances with people because your ear is hearing those things in a musical way. I think you'd be a great collaborator with other people who can bring that to life, especially if they already know how sync works, because they can say, okay, that part is good, but right here we might be going too left field where we'll miss what we need to be hitting. So how do we balance this energy, but still add this musical taste with these cool harmonies and these swelling parts, building tension and release? And I think if you can find that great in between, you can be doing this all the time. Like you literally can be writing a song or two a week and having plenty of pitches yearly because this is a very unique sound and it still is used in even a lot of trailers with your voice up there with a dark, ominous piano and some really cool drums and stuff. I can hear you doing stuff that's really ethereal and interesting. So I would say, there's a lot of people here in the group, the Billboard 500 Club. Link up with some of the people here and see what happens out of it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Oh, this is totally random too. We didn't mention this live, so I might as well just do this now. I guess tomorrow's Monday. So we're doing a songwriting camp Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. All of the mentors have over 100 million plays. So everyone has a platinum record or #1 hit. Demi Lovato, the writers for Demi Lovato, for BTS. It basically is 5 mentors. I'm included in it. And everyone has a different perspective that they are like high level at, like genius, like that's their thing. If it's songwriting, if it's infectious melodies, if it's hooks, so it's a 3-day camp where we'll also do collaborations. People can write together. I'll drop the link in the chat. I know there's already like 35 people going. So if anyone wants to go, it's going to me, and I'm letting you know, I didn't realize how important songwriting lessons were. I already had signed a deal with Universal. I already had signed a deal with publishing. I already was doing stuff. I already had placements on the radio. And then I happened to meet a songwriting coach named Susan Koch. If anyone knows Susan Koch, she's amazing. And I did 8 lessons with this woman, and it totally changed my career. Like the amount of placements I started getting after I worked with Susan was just ridiculous. And so I always try to tell everyone, listen, sometimes you'll be really good at something, and around all your friends in your town, you're great. But when you work with someone who knows what a platinum hit songwriter sounds like and how to get you there, and they show you this insight, and you can take their advice and only do it in a couple lessons, it could be the difference of a life. I'm just being real with you because I've seen it with myself, and I've seen it with a lot of people that Susan's worked with. So it's Susan Koch, Dyson, Rachel West, Mario Marchetti, and myself. It's a 3-day camp. I'll put the link in the description. If anyone wants to join it, I highly recommend it because it can change your songwriting, especially if you're writing for sync and for radio. I'm going to give you all a little secret. The key to sync is having songs that also can land on top 100 of radio. That's the key to make something really big. You can place things on sync. I have tons of placements that make good money, but my biggest placements are the ones that transfer over to radio, because they meet this middle ground. It's the reason why One Republic is so big. It's the reason why Imagine Dragons is so big. It's these acts that have songs that do really well in radio and they do really well in sync. And so they make income from both streams, and they can go on tours, and it starts to build more. So I'm just saying it to everyone, because I know a lot of people have talked about sync in here, but the best way to converge it is having a song that if you play it, everyone's like, well, this could be a hit on the radio too. And this could be a massive sync song. And that's why you have bands like Lumineers and stuff who get syncs all the time, but also that song was on top 100 of Billboard. So I'm gonna put that in there. But Miriam, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was the last thing I was gonna say. I forgot about the event.
Great, thank you.
Ben, do you have any advice?
I mean, no, that was beautiful in my opinion. I think going back to the points that were said about, you know, the switch between the dark and then the positive, right? It threw me off. I liked it though. I really like that, how interesting that was. But yeah, I think definitely from a sync perspective, it kind of limits you from like having the full entire song being you know, pieced out so that it fits for a certain genre of TV and film. But yeah, I think maybe the only thing I would say for production wise would be maybe in the beginning having some sort of atmosphere that brings in the track a little bit, instead of it just being abrupt, because it kind of just started right in the beginning. And so maybe just smoothing it out and then bringing it up, and that might do the trick. So anyways, beautiful song.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. The next song up we have, is Joe here? No Joe. Is Alexander here? Alexander Cook? No. What's up with people who submit songs and they're like, I don't want to show up though. I just want you guys to know I have a song, but I don't want to know what you think of the song. Let's see. Is Patrick here? Patrick
Maybe
Boyer.
because the link wasn't working.
That's right. Maybe because the link. Good call, Hussam. There you go.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Can hear you. Yep.
All right.
All right. Here we go.
So I'm not going to give you lyrics because there are no lyrics.
Oh, it's instrumental track?
It is instrumental.
Cool.
That's what I primarily do, is instrumental music with the focus towards being a sync related
Okay, cool. Here we go.
writer.
Cool. Sarah?
Yeah. Hi, Patrick. So just since you said, you know, you already have sync in mind and everything, I definitely, I mean, I could hear this, like, it's a good, it's nice because it's warm and it's organic and you have like a good pace. You always want to make sure that you're not like dragging a scene or like anything's getting too sticky. So like I like that it's upbeat and it feels like it would move picture forward. I think I could hear it in like it'd be a great production cue for anything that's like rural based or like anything like the Discovery History Channel stuff where it's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well,
Like
it's titled
parent
Bozeman,
figures.
so
Yeah. Like that kind of stuff. I think it definitely fits there sonically. So it's cool that you kind of already have that in mind.
Yep.
I think my only comment really is that I think it's cowbell. I think that
it's too high in the mix. We're not totally mixed yet.
Gotcha. That was the only thing that really stuck out to me. But overall, just with the instrumentation and the feel and the pace of this, I think it could fit really well in that world.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Sarah. I was like, the cowbell. I was thinking of that old, what's that, Will Ferrell thing when he's like, we need more cowbell.
More cowbell.
In this case, it's called an udu. So
okay. We need more udu. That's the only thing I would say. Just take it out sometimes. Like the one thing I would say is that it felt like once it went, it just went and it kept it. Which, if you could just have small things, small little transitions, even if it's just like the drums going, just a little bit of a drum fill here and there, and just like a little bit of a splash and a little bit of a reverse cymbal, a little bit of take the cowbell out, then put it back in, to create transitional edits. Because what editors love are different sections that they can use. But if they have the same riff and the same vibe, then they really go, okay, this is really all I can use. And it could work, but if we want more, we have to wait till 1:30 when you went to that other thing that was really cool. But what's nice about it is that you have a really great style. It's very easy to listen to and to follow. I think everyone, I was watching faces, people were like turning little kids. They were starting moving and stuff. I was looking at Ben, he got all happy. So that's what you can do musically. Listen, there's a power in music where you can make people change their energy and forget about the world and start smiling and moving. That's a great gift, man. So what I would say is just look into the part of what I was saying, transitional elements, or just small pullouts here and there to restart. So that way the air gets fresh. So that way you're giving people something just to continually want to listen to and not go, okay, I've heard this part before and that cowbell's still going. You know what I mean? But I also would say this. How fast does it take you to write something like this?
That was about, I was in Bozeman.
What's that?
The primary part of it was 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, what's Bozeman? You said I was in Bozeman.
Bozeman, Montana.
Oh, I was like, how long did it take you to write it? You're like, well, I was in Bozeman. I'm like,
well, I was in Bozeman for a trip, and it was about 15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes. All right. And so are you surrounded by any vocalists that are really good?
I'm in Nashville.
You're in Nashville. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So here's what I would say. Because you can write, because the reason why I ask, because it sounds like you can probably write things really quick. Do you have a roster of great singers that you can just call up? Like, hey, can you get on? Do you have that at your disposal?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if I was you, do you sing currently right now, or are you looking to get into that world?
Sync. That's where I'm focused on trying to be, actually.
Okay.
I mean, this is actually a track that is for a record that I'm going to put out, but it's
okay.
It's all the material is very much applicable, I believe.
Okay, cool. So, without thinking about, let's say we're going to put out, because whatever your artistry stuff is, go for that, But what I was going to say is, because you can write this stuff so fast, and if you have an ample roster of singers, what I would do is a mixture of where you're having people sing over songs, and then you also have instrumentals, so it doubles your chances. That's the reason why I was asking you, because you might say, this instrumental is great, cool, pitch that instrumental. But then if you have a roster of artists, send them the instrumental as well and be like, hey, sing something over this. So now you have 2 songs that you can also pitch, and you don't know which one's going to place, and you don't know which one's going to make you more money. So I would say, if you do have that roster available, have like 3 to 5 singers that you work with all the time. And that way, if their schedules conflict, and say, hey, I'm sending this off to you first, Jordan. Jordan says, I can't do it. Send it off to Abigail next. Abigail can't do it. Send it off to Steve. Steve can do it. Boom. Steve, knock it out. And just kind of go through that. And what you'll see is that if you do 50 instrumentals and then you have 50 songs with singers on it, that's 100 songs that you're pitching around,
Yeah.
In some cases, and here's another trick, in some cases, send the same instrumental to two people, and then the best song you keep, the other one that's second best, you make another instrumental bed to it, since you can do beds so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So you take the acapella and build around the acapella with just an acoustic thing. Because when you're not doing crazy big productions, if you can knock things out in 20 minutes, that's like just send you the vocal and you can probably do the chords, you'll do the licks, and you can do all the pieces. And next thing you know, you can be doing sometimes 2-3 songs a week. Super easy. Especially if it's acoustic like this. It's the bigger production songs that tend to take lots of time, because it's all the samples, it's all the plugins. But if you're doing acoustic and light drums, you can literally knock out a song a day. So great job. I think you have great skills, great ear. So yeah, just surround yourself with people and create a roster. And honestly, man, if you can start banging out a bunch of songs, things will land.
Yeah.
Cool.
What's up, Patrick? I really like that. There's also another thought that I was thinking now, like hypothetically, if you just did not contact any singers, didn't take any of Adam's suggestions or anything, you could actually build an entire playlist of this kind of music for video games. You could have this stuff like in the loading screen during game. I play a game called RimWorld. This reminds me literally exactly of this kind of music. So definitely check out that game to see kind of that like music. It has like a rural futuristic vibe. So, but point being, there's a like for what you have right now, if you didn't do anything, you could still use it for something because it sounds really good on its own too. So, but yeah, that's what I would say as well. You can find many different mediums to do that, but definitely listen to Adam.
yeah. From the gaming aspect, there are other tracks on there that the guys that were helping me record it said it's more like a Red Dead Redemption type music and that kind of stuff, a little dark and.
Yeah, well, no, with video game like tracks, it bodes well to repetition. Just something that, when people are playing the game, that's like nothing that they really are like focused on because they're focused on the game, but it's just like this background atmosphere. And so, but yeah.
Cool. I appreciate it.
Cool, Patrick. All right. Is Tia here? Yes, no? Okay. Is Shawn Thomas here? Okay. Is Vonne here? Okay, right. There must have been the link then. There's a lot of people. Is Shy and Colin here?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, we're here.
All right. Here we go.
I look myself in the eyes and see myself for who I truly am. Not what I've been told, not the fears that hold me back. I see that little girl, she knows what she's here for. She'll open people's hearts. I stare my fears to the ground, and I'm liking myself more and more. There's a voice in my head, and it's pushing me to carry on. I see that little girl, she knows what she's here for. She'll open people's hearts.
Okay, Sarah.
Yeah. So first off, just like love the overall message of the song. It's definitely inspiring, and that whole kind of like embracing your inner child and persevering and like self-love and all that good stuff is awesome. So definitely a cool lyrical story. I think my just production wise, I'm not sure like how far into the mixing process and everything this is, but I do think the vocal is just like is a little hot and could come down in the mix a bit. And then I think really just structure wise, I wish that like the chorus piece, the little girl like knowing what she's supposed to be doing, and like that whole piece, I wish it was maybe like popped up, like a third or something, or that there was just some kind of a little bit more variation in the top line just to make the chorus sound a little different than the verses. But yeah, I think overall, like it's just the message is really beautiful, and I think any changes you could make to just make the chorus more impactful would only just like help drive that message home even more.
Cool. I think I have to hear the production again, but it felt a little thin. That was one of the when I was waiting for these things to hit, like the bass and the drums, everything to really come in. I love it when I feel it, when everything's like boom, I feel everything moving. And for me, everything was there. There's pieces there, but they felt a bit thin. So therefore I didn't get that full encompass feeling. So I would definitely take references of songs that you think this is similar to and play them side by side and just listen to the sonic fulfillment. That's the best way I can put it. The sonic fulfillment. What do you energetically feel when you're listening to, something like an Alanis Morissette record or like a Jewel record? It just sounds like stuff that would have been back from like the 90s. And listen to those records and say how you feel when that part hits, and then listen to your chorus and be like, oh, okay, what does it happen? Is the bass too low? Or do you need to change the tone a little bit, add a little fatness to it? I think things like that need to be just looked at a little bit more in depth. Vocally, I think because this song has a really good message, I think there needs to be a little bit more bite and attack on it. It sounds very nicely sung. And then there's this moment of when you're like, she'll open people's hearts. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then you want to keep that energy. And then all of a sudden it goes to almost like a singy thing. And I think a song like this has to have energy and not just sound good being sung like, because Shy, you have a trained voice. There's parts you're like, oh, that's sung really nice. But it kind of loses a little bit of that childlike feeling of when it's just raw and feels good and powerful and kind of like in your face a little bit sometimes and pulls away sometimes. And if you really listen to the songs from the 90s, you'll hear it all over those records. Like Alanis Morissette can go from being a bitey to being soft and sweet to it had all this character movement which is what made it so interesting. And especially because the storylines were interesting, which is like this song, you have an interesting storyline. So when you have interesting storylines, it's best to characterize them as if you're telling people a story by using all the inflections of your voice and not just singing words at them. So part of it was like, oh, this is really cool. But then I was like, oh, I missed the bite that could have been there. So what I would do is reference some of those 90s songs, and you'll see some of the magic that they were doing, and then just pull that out and be like, oh, okay, I like that. I like that. I like this. But I think this is a really great intention. Like it's got a good message to it. So in those things, it's all good. And yeah, like it depends on what you're gonna do production wise, if you're going to pitch towards what, or is this more of an artist track? It sounds more of an artist track because it's saying little girl. So it's only going to land itself on sync in a very, very specific thing. But if it's an artist track, then I would just definitely reference those other songs to pull all the pieces out. And are you going to put like just a little bit more, when I say like thickness to it, that just felt a little thin, which put it into the demo phase of me. But I think if you looked at how to build up those tones, then we're looking towards a record, which is different.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We definitely are at the demo stage for this. What Shy and I had talked about when we put it together and got it this far was we were hoping that, bring it to this group in this format. We were actually kind of hoping that there would be somebody, or maybe even a couple people that would want to collaborate and kind of help take this one over the finish line to finish it. With the feedback, I can certainly go go back and I didn't really do any reference masters with this one, but definitely would or will. But I, if there is somebody that would be interested to collaborate from here too, that also would be awesome. Where, Shy performed this incredibly, like this was one take with Shy on vocal and piano, and I did the guitars, bass, and then found us samples for the drums. I'd like to get real drums recorded, which I'm starting to talk to my drummer about that right now. But yeah, I think I agree. I don't disagree with the production side of things. It's sort of, this is where I'm at. And as I kind of carry on, trying to figure this out, if there's others that can help out too, that'd be awesome. What do you think, Shai?
I'm happy I stayed awake because these were really, really good advices. Everything I tried to write down what I could. It's like 5 a.m. But yeah, I really like this song. It really feels like I'm giving birth to myself when I sing it and when I hear it. And a few different people, when they just heard it, they said the word Disney. So I just wondered because Adam, you said something about because of the word little girl, it's very specific and will not really be syncable. I would like to hear more about that.
Well, when you say Disney, that's interesting. Okay, I can understand where someone would say that if they're not in the sync game, they could be like, oh yeah, that sounds like a Disney song. Now maybe the idea sounds like a Disney song, but in order to get that placement, it'd have to be such a specific brief, like looking for a song that is like this and kind of reminds you of a 90s da-da-da. Like there would have to be a lot of things, because a lot of times when you get a brief, it'll say things like, either have the references, right? So it'll say looking for things like this, and it'll have 3 references right there, so you know what they're looking for. Or it'll say looking for, up tempo, feel good, lyrics about positivity and empowerment and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. So just depending on the brief would be where, if this could be pitched to like a Disney thing. But I think, more importantly, it's less about if it's Disney, more about getting the record to sound like a record. So that way, when people hear it, they're like, whoa, that sounds like a legit song. I feel every emotion in that. This sounds great. And if you pitch it to Disney, cool. If you pitch it to something else, cool. But it should sound first like a record. Because if you're only pitching to Disney, that means that pitch might come around once a year, and for that exact thing. So I wouldn't even worry about that. It's if it goes there, it goes there. But just make it sound like a competitive record, like the people we were talking about from, especially, I just say the 90s because it seems like it fits in that space. But you can reference them and then just, here's what I would say. And this is going to go deep. Make this record and say, what would Lady Gaga do if she was a 90s artist? The reason why I say that is because Lady Gaga has a great ability to always sound current, even if she does songs that have a little bit of a datedness to them. So if you look at that production like that, and not saying synths and all that stuff, I'm talking about like how she does Shallow and how she does all these other records. And if you listen to them, you're like, wow, these things have a throwback sound, like almost the 90s in some of these things. And in some cases, even different genres. Like it sounds a little country, but she's still able to make it sound like a current record. And so I would reference 90s songs. I'd reference Lady Gaga tracks from that album where she was doing things like that. And then from that say, okay, sonically and the tones that we want to use, how do we put that all together on a good landscape? Cool. Now, as far as what Colin said about people taking over the top, here, I want to be honest about this thing. Where do I start with that? One is, if you don't link up with people who are finishers, it's a lot of time doing exercises. So it's best for you to become a finisher. And I say that to everyone here. It's best that you become a finisher, and the end of that quotation is a period. Because if you always are waiting, not saying they're going to keep doing this, but if you're waiting for other people who also are not finishers, what tends to happen is you send it to someone and they can't actually finish it. So they just add a little bit, and sometimes they make it a little bit go left or right. And then you get it back, and then you're working for another 8 hours to fix it up. And then you send it back to them, and you're doing this game of ping pong, hoping that you'll magically end up at this nice end golden road. But 9 times out of 10, you're just going to be going back and forth for a while, and you might get frustrated. So it's best to either get a finisher to help you finish and show you how to finish, or you learn how to become a finisher and then you finish it. But if you go back and forth with people who are not finishers yet, it tends to be more of an exercise. I'm not saying don't do it for exercise purposes, but if you're looking to actually finish a song, it can tend to take more time. So I'm only saying that to you because I've seen people do this before with like, oh, if someone else could just help me. And I'm like, yeah, but if that person helping you isn't a finisher, it could just be sometimes back and forth for a long time. And 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, a month goes by, and the song really hasn't gone too much further. It's just a bunch of demos. You got anything, Ben?
No, I don't.
All right, cool. All right, let's go on to the next one here.
Thanks a lot.
No problem. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's 5 a.m. out there. Jeez.
Yeah, good night. Bye.
Good night, Shy. All right. Summer. Somer. I hope I'm saying that right. Summer.
Yeah, summer, like the season.
Like the season. Okay. Let's pull up the song. All right, here we go.
Bide my time, hold my tongue, pay my dues, wait my turn, break these chains, right these wrongs, get what's mine, take my shot. Hey, feel under pressure, all the tension, make it sweat. Do whatever, be the best.
Okay, that was the chorus, right?
Yeah, that was the chorus.
Yeah, Summer, very cool. I like the percussion is super interesting. I really like that lead in, and that pace is really cool. And the dropout after Shot and then going into like that big hit for the beginning of the chorus is definitely like super effective. And it's something like, yeah, I don't know. I almost wish there was a little bit more chorus, like that you were like really jamming for a little bit before you drop off. Like, even if it was just like you add an extra like 8 bars or something and just like really, I don't know, drive it home. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, the second and third choruses are double choruses. So
Gotcha.
I bet I could make that one a double chorus too, like copy and paste, easy.
Yeah, totally. I think that could be cool. And I think were you writing with sync in mind for this?
Yeah, I was an athlete before I was a musician, and like my dream would be to get an ad, like a female sports ad. So I was very inspired by do you know the Beginners and Night Panda did this track, and it's a New Balance, and it's just all female athletes like crushing it. So there's a track that inspired me to do this one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I definitely sonically it sits there, like it's so like kick ass, like when you come in for the chorus. So yeah, that's awesome. I could definitely hear it in something like that. So you did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna play. You said it's a double chorus on the second one?
Yeah.
I just want to hear where it goes. Hold on a sec.
Feel under pressure, all the tension, make it sweat. Feel under pressure, do whatever, be the best. Feel under pressure, all the tension, make it sweat.
Okay, cool. So let's see. Okay, so part of me thinks that because it's written for sync, there's almost too many things that are completely on the nose, which takes it a bit out of, like I said, that convergence point that I'm always looking for. So let me just read through some of these lyrics. When you say, bide my time, hold my tongue, pay my dues, wait my turn, break these chains, right these wrongs. So like the first 4 lines are like, what's the negative? Bide my time, hold my tongue, pay my dues, wait my turn, right? And it's kind of just like lines by lines, but it's not a conversation. It's just statements. Then the next couple lines, like, break these chains, right these wrongs. And you're going like, okay, like, well, what? I don't know what wrongs there are because there's no real substance to it that you've showed yet. It's just you're stating things, right? So for me, statements work when you're repeating something that people need to know. But before that, I need to understand what's happening. Otherwise, I'm just kind of in the dark and you're just throwing me into a room and saying, okay, this is what's happening, right? So I know this stuff will work, okay? And so everything I'm telling you is only when I say, how do we go to that thing where it gets the bigger convergence points? Because I know someone could take this chorus and be like, well, listen to the chorus. It's cool. And it could still land on a reality show. That would still happen. But it'd be different from the things I'm talking about. And so I'm always trying to get to that point because I think that's just more lucrative at the end of the day. Now, when it says, hey, I love that. Hey, I feel that. Now you say, I feel under pressure, right? I feel like I feel the pressure, but I couldn't hear it all the way. So that's what I thought you said. I thought you said, hey, I feel the pressure, da, 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 da. So when you said the word under, I was like, oh, under pressure. Okay, gotcha. The reason why I'm saying this, not saying you have to change it. It was just hard to hear all the words because of the same sonic frequency that you're using on your guitars and your synths are the same notes you're using. So what I would suggest is keep the power because the power sounds great, but carve out room for your vocal. So that way someone can hear every word you're saying. Because right now you do hear the good words like pressure. You're like, yeah, okay, I heard that. And you hear the energy you're bringing. And I hear the sweat. Make you sweat. I'm like, okay, I heard that. So I can piece things together. But if someone said, tell me every word she's saying in that chorus, I'd be like, I don't know. And I would say if you can get to have all those things happening, then you have like a really good song in your hands, right? Especially for sync, right? It just falls really good into it. So let me look at the second verse. Prove myself that I belong, take my place, join the gods. A hero's heart beating strong, conquer worlds, reach the stars. Okay, yeah, I totally get it. So I'm not going to knock any of this stuff. And I know some people do write like this, but there's really no conversation going on with the listener. Like I said, it's statements of hierarchy, which I know work good in the idea of sync. But if you were to talk to someone, you would never talk like that. So it does kind of remove the listener to be like, oh yeah, that sounds like how I talk, or that's how we talk in conversation. And if you look at like big hit songs like Adele, hello, it's me. I'm outside your house acting like a crazy stalker, but no one's going to call me that because I'm singing it really nice, right? Or, hey, I was doing just fine before I met you. I drink too much and that's an issue, but I'm okay. Chainsmokers have #1 hit. These things are conversational. If you look at any Justin Bieber song, it's conversational. Any Bruno Mars song, it's conversational. Any Rihanna song, it's conversational. So sometimes the switch to get things both is to do a mixture of statements, a mixture of conversation. And that's, I don't think there's one Ed Sheeran song you can name that doesn't sound like he's talking directly to you. That's how he's able to pull people in, So I would say, great job. Is this the name of your band? Is it called Kill Bunny?
Yeah, that's just me.
That's a great name. That's not, no one else took that name. That's a great name.
I won the lottery on names.
That is a marketable name. So listen, I'm all into branding. I have a few monikers and they're all, I handle most of the branding on them. And my business partner too is great at branding as well. I love that brand, except the picture doesn't match how great that name is. I'm looking at your picture and it can do some work. So you can use Canva as a free thing that people can use to do artwork. I would highly recommend doing that and just understanding, because your brand, that Kill Bunny with music like this, and you start banging out a lot of tracks and you start really dialing in the production. So that way, when you're working on it, who's producing this, or is this you too?
I am. Yeah.
You're doing this too?
Yeah.
Okay. So check this out. Like, okay, give me some answers to some of these things. Like, how long have you been in production for?
Seriously, maybe like 8 years, 10 years.
Okay, cool. Are you around other people who you can send things to like all the time to get real detailed things that are good mixers, good producers?
I am, but I need to use it more.
Okay. Okay, so that the reason I'm saying is because the thing of not being able to hear all those lyrics, that would be like, and not saying this in a mean way, but that's like a day one thing. You know, it's like a day one thing that a producer's going to sit back and go, okay, I can't hear that lyric of the artist. But if you are the artist, sometimes it's hard because you know your lyrics already. So I know that struggle because you know the song. So when you hit that emotional feeling, so for anyone else watching this, this is like a little in depth. And the only reason you would understand what I'm talking about is if you're an artist / producer. If you're an artist / producer, I can tell you that I know when you hit a certain feeling at the music with your vocal and you go, that's the feeling I was looking for. And then since you already know the lyric, your ear starts to get almost like desensitized because you already know it. But if you can have people around you who are really good producers and who are really good mixers, they don't have a biased ear and they've never heard the song before. And so you can say, hey, what parts, stand out to you? And then get detailed notes. So for instance, in our private club, a lot of people here, that's all we do. Like someone puts in a song and they'll get 30 notes back from everyone. And it's super detailed, like bring kick drum down 2 dBs. Like it's very, very detailed because we don't have a bias. We just want everyone to have the best song possible. So what I would say is use your network of group. How many songs do you have that are like this?
I'm working on like an EP, so I've got
Okay,
4
cool.
or 5. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you're still in the beginning of like putting them all together, those. Okay, great. So I think you're on a great path. Only thing I would say is, get your circle group, make sure that you can help fine tune this stuff. But keep doing it because you obviously know the sections. That verse is totally from that chorus. I know the sections. I know where the moneymaker is. So you know where that is too, that adrenaline you're bringing, which is great. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep coming these critiques and great job.
Thanks so much.
Welcome.
Hey, Summer. Wow. I mean, I really like that track a lot. It's definitely like right up my alley in terms of the sound. I mean, Adam knows.
Yeah, Ben would kill this.
This
is right up his style.
Well, I was just, I wanted to mention too, it's, when we were in LA and we showed our music to Position Music, we did a project called Realm, and it had the same notes where a lot of the lyrics came out as to TV and film. Like we focused too much on being TV and film, so the words were written in that manner, and so it didn't really open us up to that other side of things. So it kind of pigeonholed us on those tracks, but doesn't mean that they're not good tracks, right? That they're placeable. It's just, having that healthy medium can just put you at an advantage. But yeah, like I said, this is a good track. I really like it.
Thanks a lot.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you're someone, if you wanted to surround yourself with other people who are like doing what you're doing, but also doing it at a level to where, I think you would learn a lot from and be good around, you should probably look into joining the Billboard 500 Club, because you're in that circle of people that where everyone is like pushes people to become the best that they can be. I see people writing, people are like, yep, look in the chats. They're like, yep. Because just so everyone knows, like we have a supervisor that comes in once or twice a week, depending on the week. We hold internal sync camps, and when we're done with them, we pitch them directly to all the supervisors we know, to all the sync companies we know, directly to publishing companies we work with. So sometimes even in the group, we'll just do our own internal camps and everyone's working with each other. And we have one up in 2 weeks from now, and everyone does sometimes 10, 12 songs in a week. And so it's a lot of stuff. And if you're doing the kind of work you're doing and you're around those kind of people, you can get it that's why I said, how many songs do you have? You said 4 or 5. You work a group like this, you can have 20, 30 songs in just a couple months, so that's why I threw it out there. Cool.
Thanks.
All right. Now, Sarah, you have been here with us for 2 hours.
I have indeed.
I want to say thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great listening through all this awesome music with you guys.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say, for everyone who gets these kind of chances, I'm just appreciative of you taking your time out, because sometimes this kind of stuff is the things that really help change people's mindsets to get on the ball. Like I know for myself, when I was doing music and I didn't really have any executives who are in the business, who are seeing the briefs every day, who know how tough this stuff is, a lot of times you're just kind of like shooting in the dark, and you're kind of like, oh, I hope this is good, or I'm not sure, right? So there's a lot of that goes into it. And then also the part that I think I'm just kind of asking you is, before you leave, can you touch on everyone, I guess, a little bit of how important maybe a network and professionalism is when it comes to the sync world? Because especially you work in it, it's a small industry. And because I'm trying to give everyone information, because sometimes people don't know how this part works of building a network and how having different executives you work with. But I like it when someone talks from that perspective, because you're actually in the seat. So what can you give anyone advice when it comes to that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess the biggest thing from the sync side of things is I would just pay attention to, one, like if you're trying to, like if you're pitching yourself to sync companies, pay attention to what kind of, like, do your research, like know what types of media that they're working on, what they're good at and what they're not. Some sync companies are really killer for advertising, and others are more suited for like the film and TV space. So kind of knowing where your music sits and like where your strengths lie will help you kind of find a company that is a good partner for you. So doing your research and kind of making sure that potential fit is there before kind of just like blasting in all directions, I think is always a really good way to go. And then also just like being respectful, like the people that you're sending music to are listening to music and receiving submissions 24/7 all the time. So it's one of those things where if you can make it super easy for the person that's on the other side of your email or something like that, like it makes a huge difference, just because everyone receives music in a different way. Some companies have a formal submission process. Some companies you can just kind of reach out over an email. Some will request streaming links. Others will have you submit to an inbox. So just making sure you know exactly what the company you're reaching out to, like what their preferred method of delivery is, and making sure that you have things like, like if you have explicit language in your song, making sure you have a clean version, making sure you have access to the WAV files and you're not just sending around MP3s, and they might be like, and if, they do want to sign the song and ingest the song, that you're not chasing down, trying to find high res files from a session from 2 years ago, like after the fact. Just making sure you have your assets and your metadata and everything straight before you even start pitching yourself around really will set you apart from people who feel a little bit more amateur. So I think that's like always a pleasant surprise on the other side of the desk when you get something organized and, you have all of your deliverables available.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah. Appreciate it. And hopefully in the next couple of months, if you have some more time, we'd love to bring you in, maybe by the end of the year or in the new year. It'd be great. Yeah, totally. And also, like, if anyone just wants to like rap about sync or has any questions or wants to submit music, I'm just going to drop my work email in the chat. Feel free to reach out anytime. It's an open channel. So. Oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you so much, Sarah. You're so sweet. Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you for having me, everyone. And what we'll do is after we get done with our sync camp, we do our internal one the last week of September. So it means I think the first week of October, we'll have the songs wrapped up. I'll just send you a playlist. And if there's some things in there you like, just let me know. If there's anything grabs your ear, any artists you like or any writers, and I can kind of link it with some people we think are talented in the group. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to hear it. Perfect. Okay, cool. All right, Sarah. Talk to you soon. Right. Bye, everyone. Bye. All right, everyone. So I'll stay around for a little bit more, and then I'll head it off to Ben if he'd like to continue, or if he's getting tired too, because I know he has to work tomorrow.
Yeah, but, I'm gonna get off at 10, but I think that might be a good cutoff point.
Cool, man. Sounds good. All right. Let's see. So I see Craig. You got a song? Let's see. Is Craig here? Craig is here.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, let's see. All right, here we go.
today if you knew you were dying tomorrow? Dying tomorrow.
Yeah. Started out just like any other day. Oh, the sky was bright and clear, but any day the end could come, could be far near. Nothing is permanent, everything dies. Unlimited time was never ours. Yeah, that's right. I live fast, I live free. Tried to be the best version of me, but we live broken, not always happily ever after. That may not be someday because we flirting with disaster. What wisdom could you leave behind, huh? Close your eyes, huh? What memories shine, huh? Did you impact humankind, huh? Or if you could, would you rewind? Or has the crime made you blind when you look back through all these years, huh?
What's the last song you'd write today if you knew you would die tomorrow? No more days to make that change, no more time to borrow. Would you do the things that you wanna do, say the things you wanna say? If you knew you were dying tomorrow, what's the last song you'd write today?
I miss my fam already, they really mean so much. Although it may.
All right. You know what, Ben, I'll let you go first, brother.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the mix sounds pretty solid. You know, on my laptop speakers, vocals come out really clearly. Maybe some sweeps and risers might give it a little bit more flair to the track. But I mean, yeah, it sounds good to me. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I love the chorus. To me, the verses, I can tell that some of the lines, how do I say this? I kind of wish that some of the lines had more like these one-liners that made me really have to think about things, and was like, oh, I've never heard that before. Like a really good bar. Like I needed some like rap bars. Right now it sounds like someone wrote it and then someone else rapped it, which I know that's what happened in this case. And so what happened is the other person's trying to fit in all these melodies into rap bars sections. And so because of that, it's kind of pushing things into boxes. And so I think there's some lines I'm like, oh, that's a good line. And there's some I'm like, oh, I wish he would have said something. Because once you put a rapper in, so let me just break down rap real quick. Yes, there's a style of rap where people just mumble and you can't hear them. But there's also, when you're talking about an MC, which is they're delivering bars where their only goal is to say things that make you stand back and go, whoa, did they just say that? That's part of the game. So the minute you insert rapper, and if you don't put the insertion of that part of the game, what happens is it starts to sound vanilla and it becomes more of like, okay, that's nice. Right. So the guy's like hyping up his voice, like, and but the lyric is like, okay, but that's not matching it the same way with the lyric. So for me, the chorus is really cool and it definitely makes you think and it's emotional. And if you had this and then you threw on a rapper like a G-Eazy or something, or a rapper like that has a flow that they're trying to tell a storyline and they can say some, you know, interesting things, it would work. But as of now, to me, it's hard to know where this song goes because it's hard to pitch a song that says the word die in anything. Like you can't pitch this to a commercial at all. You can't pitch it to a video game. You can't pitch it to a trailer. You really can't pitch it to anything unless it's a friend who's doing a documentary or a friend who's doing something. But in an actual brief, it gets really hard. But if you're doing it as an artist song and the artist who's the rapper is a really dope rapper, even like an Easy McCoy, like a really dope rapper, and he can write these one-liner bars, well, then that chorus has that big money thing to it. So even like an Eminem on something like this would have really emotional bars in that. And then it would come to this chorus that everyone wants to sing along with. So for me, that's where it is. As far as the production, yes, I totally agree with some more sweeps, some more little transitional things, because the track kind of feels linear, but it's a good groove and sonically it sounds good. So the trick is when you have someone like Lauren singing on something, she knows melodies and she knows her voice. So anything she touches is going to sound good. And Chris is good enough at doing like the bare bones productions to make it sound good. So for me, it's already sounding good. The only advice I'm giving you is to make it sound great. And that's it's more of like pushing that into the greatness section because I think the chorus has so much potential. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I tried a couple of rappers. John Mark did a version, and then I tried this guy, Travis Rommel, who Lauren recommended, and maybe I should try Easy McCoy, or maybe I should do it myself. I mean, I wrote the original rap for this, so maybe I should just take a swing at it myself. I know I'm a good rapper, but I just don't know if I'm Eminem style. And I guess you keep preaching that only the top 1% will ever make it. So I know I'm not the 1%, you know, maybe I'm the 5%, but I'm like, I really want to deliver a great product. So in my brain, I'm just trying to build a process, because I'm now writing 5 records a week and I don't have enough producers to help me create the tracks. I'm like, how do I get more songs out?
Well, okay. So those are a couple different things all wrapped up in one though. So if we're talking about rappers, then here's the thing. If someone's trying to rap to what you wrote, it's not going to sound like the rapper. So the first thing you do is if you're going to have a rapper, then have the rapper rap and let them do what they would naturally do, because that's what's going to make the record sound like a real record. If you're trying to write a person's rap and you're not a rapper, it's not going to sound like them. So that's the first part. And then you can just test it out, see if something works. Now the other part is if you do it, which anyone can do, like you can rap on your own song. It's just the point, will it be respected by other rappers and by fans is a whole different thing. So yeah, technically you can go in there and rap, but is it going to be where the delivery and the words, it's so important. When you're talking about hip hop, you're talking about a culture. And so it's not, I know a lot of people think like, oh, I can just do it because you can rap on a beat, but the lines really have to cut through in a way that you're just like, whoa, oh, they said that. Oh, that was clever. Like, oh, the inflection of that. Oh, the attack on this. Like these all things are just like how a drummer listens to another drummer. It's not just, can you play the 2 and the 4? It's what's your groove like? What's your swing like? Those are all things that everyone's actually listening for if you're in that genre. So there's that part. Now, the third part, when you said about producers, I mean, there's a lot of producers. It just depends on who you're putting on roster and how you're kind of working things out with them and what your budget is. But there's enough producers to be heavily fine and even just in our group alone. So
yeah,
maybe
I think I'm working with five producers right now.
Well, then that's,
So,
I mean, but if you're working with 5 producers, then, I mean, you're when you say we want to do more than 5 songs a week, then it's just about having each one of those producers finishing a record every 48 hours or 3 days. And once you get on the schedule, I mean, listen, if you're working with 5 producers right now and they're working, you're doing fine. You don't have to do like more than that. You can, if you have more time and more budget, but I mean, that's enough to sustain a career and have something break through. And you're doing enough catchy melodies and catchy choruses that as long as the other parts are filled in, you'll have the song. I've heard enough songs from you to know that you have enough of an ear. And these, especially when you're talking about the hooks that you always bring in are super catchy. So you have like all the things you're talking about. Now it's just important just amassing a catalog and finishing songs that sound like they're radio. And so let me give you a little advice on that. Because I understand what you're talking about. And I think if I can pinpoint it for you, it'll help your time. So
I've got 5 songs on back order with Lauren and Chris. I'm like, I've given them like 5 new records. I'm like, okay, what's our timeline? And they're giving me one every couple of weeks. And then I've got a couple with John True and a couple with Belinda and a couple. I'm like, geez.
Yeah. Okay. But here's the thing though. And this is the truth of the business. And this is depending on what you want to do. Right now, if I went through that list, the only finisher of a hit record is Lauren. So it's not saying that anything is not good, because these are all good, but there's a difference. And so if we're saying things like, if you're talking about, I want to pitch things, you can pitch these records, but they don't sound like finalized records on the radio. So a pitch is great. If you're spending, $500, $1,000 and you want to pitch something to someone, that's fine, because you're looking at it as a songwriter and you're pitching it to another producer, maybe an artist to cut it. Still works. But if you're looking for songs that sound like they're finalized records on the radio, then only 1 or 2 things is going to happen. Either 1, you got to find producers that are doing that and work with them, or 2, you have to be okay with the people who you're working with who are still growing to get to that point. It's either one of those 2 things, and it could be them at the same time. But there is a difference in that. So it depends on what you're looking to do. So a good example is like if you hear like any demo from, let's see, I'm trying to think of a producer, like any demo from Ryan Tedder is going to sound like it's already on the radio. Like it's just, that's how it's going to be. Any song that you hear from me and Mario is going to sound like it should already be on the radio. If we're shooting for a radio sounding song, if we're shooting for a sync, it's going to sound like a sync. If we're shooting for a radio, it's going to sound like it's on the radio. So
I kind of think if everybody in this group wants to hold ourselves to the right standard, it's your standard, which is what you put out. So I'm always trying to get to that level. And and we can talk offline. I don't want to take up everybody's time. If this is helping everybody, keep going, but I don't want to hog all the time. But yeah, I am trying to get a great process. The reason why I'm saying this though,
but the reason why I'm saying this though, it is for everyone too. It's there's an understanding of a good demo can get to be a pitch, and you can pitch it to another artist and a producer, and they can be like, you know what, if we put, you know, Dr. Dre on this beat, or we put, you know, this person on the beat, and they would make the song that sing as a hit. You can pitch those things. But if you're looking to have a finalized record, that's a different level of production. And sometimes it's just an extra 10%, but that 10% is the difference between when you put something into the oven and you cook it for 15 minutes, but cooking at 20 minutes makes the whole meal different. It's that little difference that changes the value of it. So I'm not saying these things aren't really good, because they are. What I'm saying is there's a small difference. So, and that could be in the cost, like how long the other producers are working on it and all the other stuff. We could talk about a lot of stuff offline, but I just want you to know that if you're looking for finalized records that sound like they're all radio quality, I do feel, and I'm only letting you all know this from the years I spent, demos don't do shit. I mean, I'm just being real. Like if anyone went to Monday Motivation the other day, I played demos from 8 years ago, and people were writing, yo, these demos sound like really great. And I'm like, yeah, none of them have done anything for me, because demos never did anything. I had to learn how do we become finishers? How do we finalize these records? So that way, when someone said we want that, we were like, okay, well, we own the master, because it's a finalized record, and they wanted our versions of that record, not the demo version. So, you know, that's just all about the getting that there. But I just want to share that with everyone, because it is a major difference. Okay, cool. Let's see.
Yeah, I am spending some money to take something from.
What's that?
We can just follow up more later. I've been spending around $1,000 for each production, and then I've already got a good acoustic with vocal, but I wanted the record to be able to go pop or country, and I wanted it to fit into every category. So I was trying to look at how I could maybe take one record and have 3 versions of it.
Well, that's good. That's good in theory. If you're pitching it to country, you can say, okay, put a female country artist in the chorus and put a male rapper on the verses, and then it's a crossover. So let the country producers turn it into a country record. In that case, just doing the demo is good. It's just when you're thinking of like, how do I finalize the tracks? Because what happens is then you're always going through extra steps, which I don't personally think extra steps help in a business where there's so many songs being released. I mean, there's 9.4 million songs released a year. So if you're doing a step to a step to a step, I'd rather just hand deliver someone a final copy and say, boom, this is a song you want. Kind of like, do you want someone to send you a picture of the car, or do you want someone to drive the car to your house and then you just pay for it? Like, when you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars and things going on radio, you'd rather just someone drive the car to your house and put the keys in it, and you just pay them the money if you're dealing with that kind of money. But that's just the way how I look at things. Okay, cool.
Right. Thanks.
No problem. All right. Let's see. Is Vanay here? Did I ask if Vanay here? I did. Is Lee here? Lee. Is Baroud here? Baroud?
I'm here.
Baroud. Okay, good. Here we go.
Maybe take the time to think. You don't need another drink. Can't keep running out the door. Know you're calling out for more. Darling, sit and stay a while. Been months since I've seen you smile. What you're chasing's within view. But what you see is up to you. Trust me when I tell you that you're worthy, just the way you are. You don't have to be in such a hurry to cover all your scars.
All right, Ben.
Yeah, I really liked that. That was really sweet and calm, and I think from like getting some mixing on it would be nice, because I had to turn down my laptop because of some of the frequencies were kind of coming through pretty rough, but lyrically, the way things flowed was very, very nice. Yeah. Adam might have some more opinion on the lyrics themselves, but yeah, I really like
What was the title of the song?
Worthy.
Oh, I was asking Ben.
No.
Oh, I would say no. I don't know what the title of the song is.
That's what I was asking him.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I actually think your song actually matches your Zoom picture right now, or the filter you have on it. If you don't have a filter, then it looks like a filter, and it matches exactly the song. It looks like a digital, almost like VHS. Sounds like that, right? So I think if you brand everything like that around it, it would be pretty cool. See how there's a little shadow in the background, everything kind of looks like it all matches with the song we were just hearing. So what I would say is I agree with Ben. It's kind of like the same thing, the guitar going throughout the whole song. So probably adding layers, even if it's just like a second guitar starting to hit some arpeggiated notes that are a little bit higher on a different side, or add a piano that's just doing ominous notes like bing, bang, bang, like just interesting stuff, or adding chords, things that just sonically grow with the song. Even if it's just small things, doesn't have to be a lot, because it seems like a very stripped down type of track. So you don't need much, but you do need a little. I agree with the mix. The mix needs to be tightened up a bit. I like the whole vibe. I think whatever you're doing is just, it sounds very honest and genuine. And think about, trust me, I'll tell you that you're worthy. Trust me when I tell you that you're worthy, just the way you are. You don't have to be in such a hurry to cover up your scars. I think all that was really well done. Because this is more of an artist track, I didn't really know where the chorus was. So I couldn't say like, oh yeah, this would be good on radio. And I can't say, oh, this would be good on the trailer or in this or in that. I can't, because I don't know what your chorus is. And after the first minute and 20 seconds, if I don't hear a chorus, then I can tell you that most executives are going to shut off a song because they're looking for the chorus. So if they have to wait till a minute 42 minutes to find the chorus. But as an artistic expression, I think it's really cool. And in the right scene of a movie, in the right TV show, I can see if you kind of got it in, it could work because it just has a cool vibe to it. But the only reason I threw in TV and film, I don't even know if you're trying to do any of that stuff. I just know we mentioned it prior today, so that's the reason I brought it up. But as far as an artist song, I think it's really cool. I think your voice sounds really cool. It's really interesting. It's very gentle and emotional. And you listen to the story, which makes you want to hold on to every word, which is important as an artist, is having listeners wanting to wait to what you're going to say next. if people don't want to hear what you have to say next, then they're going to go to the next song. So I feel like all those things are really good. I like the lyrics. Baby, take the time to think. You don't need another drink. Can't keep running out the door. And know you're calling out for more. Telling you sit and stay a while. It's been some months since I've seen you smile. You chase. I think that's all nice. Yeah. So I'm not going to knock any of that stuff. I feel like it's kind of all there for what you're doing. Just add some more elements, tighten up the mix, and roll with it.
Thank you.
Cool. Ben, I can see you're getting tired, brother. So don't worry, man. You can take off. There's a few more that I'll stay for, and I'll stand for another 20 minutes and knock these ones out.
Cool. Thanks, Adam, and thanks, everybody.
Talk soon, brother.
Bye.
All right. So let me see. Who else do we have? I think, Brenna, I have one from you.
Hello.
Hello. All right. Let me pull this track up.
This was a collaboration, so Yolanda is the vocalist.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we also worked with Cobra and Ahmed, so it was a 4-person.
Okay, cool. Oh, also, Barao, is my singer name right? Barao?
Barao.
Barao?
Mm-hmm.
Barao. You'd be good to apply for the Billboard 400 Club as well. So if you're looking to join other people who are really talented and really serious and can help you out, and also that you can collaborate with, I would highly recommend you looking into that.
Right, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Brenna, here we go.
You get up and you're fighting on your own, yeah. On the ball, break a sweat until it breaks on. I know you're strong, but I'm here for you to lean on. If you ever need to. On the run, now you're on to the next one. Making moves, cause it's all that you depend on. I know you got what it takes to fly. Don't you give in, this is your time. Please let me in. I'll carry the weight that's making you tired. I'll be here always. I'll be your home. You won't be alone. Oh, I won't let you down. I'll straighten up your crown. I'll be your home.
All right. A lot of good stuff in here. Okay, so one thing I would say to Yolanda is a case about her vocal chain. There's parts of the vocal that there's some pieces that feel like they're not completely full, and I think it might be in her microphone, because I know when we did that record with Pablo, I felt like we could hear it in that one too, and then she recorded at the other studio, and there was like a world of difference. So I'm thinking it might be a microphone thing.
Yeah.
But it also could be a mixed thing, maybe play around, but it just feels like there's some parts where the music is overpowering the vocal. And so I would try to balance that out. To me, it's interesting because the production, I feel, is a little bit too trying to like mixture of like this an EDM thing with something else, when the song, I don't know if the song is that. It's either like, it's like stuck in between pop, EDM, and then like a little bit of gospel soul thing, but it's like stuck in all these genres and not completely defined in any of them. So because of that, to me, it kind of just gets like, it's just in the middle.
Okay.
And what I think a song of this lends to is more of like a pop gospelish thing, like it seems like it fits in that area more. Like the EDM sounds that came in, I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of poppy. And then when I got to that I'll Be Your Home part and sounded real soulful, I'm like, okay, this could work, but I feel like all the pieces just aren't there to make the flavors come together. So who did the production on this?
So I co-produced it with Cobra. So what happened was I did a demo, and then I was like, I need Cobra. I need help. So then
Gotcha.
stemmed it out to Cobra, and he pushed it over the finish line. So it's funny you say that, because it started with my demo. It started just like pop, EDM, and then Yolanda put her vocals on it. And then we sent it out to a couple of people in the group, and they were like, oh my gosh, you should totally reference like Alicia Keys and Fight Song. And I was like, oh, that's a little different. So I think that was some of the feedback, what you're articulating is some of the feedback that we got initially as well. So that's interesting that you say that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's cool because it shows that it is audible, that, you know, you can hear this stuff. Can you hear me right now, as a matter of fact?
Yeah, I think
you can.
you,
okay.
Yeah.
It says was it breaking up for a second? Yeah. So like I said, it feels like it's in kind of in the middle world. And I think like when that's happening, it is good to be defined in something. So what I would say reference is reference some Julia Michaels tracks.
Okay.
That's one place I would go towards, because she can do thick harmonies and cool chanty things, but also add an air of pop and EDM, and it never really sounds like it's not undefined. So maybe reference some of her tracks. Even reference Zara Larsson. Zara Larsson has some good tracks that she has a soulful voice, but she could still ride that line of pop and EDM. And so instead of taking 3 different songs and trying to reference those, trying to find songs that are more already those mixtures that have already put the taste buds together, I think is kind of easier. But the part that I really like is the chorus. So let me just play that again real quick.
I'll be your home. You won't be alone. Oh, I won't let you down. I'll straighten up your crown. I'll be your home.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think the chorus has a lot of good potential to it. Is there a post after this and later on?
There's just a little interlude the
Is there
first
anything
time.
that keeps chanting this melody?
No, I don't think so. I think we just do the O's, I'll be your home, and then it's an instrumental post. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really like the chorus a lot. I think especially if we're talking about for sync, there's a lot of things people are always going to ask is something that is, you know, your home. That is always a question that's in the briefs. Is like, how many songs that mention home? So I think this is a really good one, especially because the chorus is so powerful, because everything drops out in that part and says, I'll be your home. It's really big. So I really like that. So I would say reference some of those songs and try to find the middle ground, because I think there's a lot of potential in this, but definitely check the vocal mix, listen to some more references, and then start to define this a bit more.
Okay.
But there's something definitely here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a delay.
It seems like I think there's a delay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right, cool. I'm going to try one more song then, and then I'm going to run because we've been on here for about 3 hours, I think, or 2.5. Who's here that hasn't had their song played yet?
I have a song that I sent in.
So we have Chris, Ashley, and John. Are you the only 3 here who haven't had songs played yet? John, Mark. Oh, geez, we got 4 people here. Whew. Woo. All right, I'll try to do it quick. John McNulty. There we go.
Sit in just one place, then I throw it all away, and always get away before things got far. Lonely in crowds, different girls, same bar. Tired of being down and left out, always feeling certain then doubt. And still I try, I don't know why. I need to find her. Seeing all the signs, I'm changing my mind, I can't deny. Why can I
did this all on your own, brother?
Yeah, I co-wrote this with Connor, but the production singing was me.
Man. All right, I haven't heard a song from you in a while. This is a
Yeah.
surprise.
Oh, cool.
I think it's really good, man. I think it's really good.
Oh.
The only issues I have is really just the mixing. There's just certain parts where your vocal is fighting with that drum and it's hard to hear because it's like clashing with the snare and it seems like that drum, it's a heavy drum song. And so because the pattern's so good, it's really just a mixing thing. I think if anything, hold on, let me just hear one thing real quick.
In just one place, then I throw it all away. And always get away before things got far.
So
Lonely
right now,
in
you
crowds,
have an intro,
different.
then you go into a chorus, right?
Yeah, so like does like a little intro thing, chorus, short chorus.
So I don't think you need to wait that long if you're going to start with a chorus.
Okay, so
that's like so if you'd had an intro, you went to the verse, I'd be like, cool. But you have an intro and then you go into a chorus and then you come into a verse. So it's like, I think there's too many sections. If anything, I would just do this part right here. Dun, 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 something like that, or just do a swell into it, but just something really short before you go into the chorus, or just start, like I said, with a swell and go right into the chorus and just have the chorus more of like something that's more like the prelude. So you're not getting all this information first. Because I think I was waiting for a while. I was like, oh, here's the intro. And then you had the chorus and I thought it was the verse at first. And then it went to the verse and I was like, oh, okay. So now we're waiting for more. Okay. So then I got into that part. But I like that. I like what you're doing. The stay in love thing is cool. But then there's something else I heard.
Always feeling certain and doubt, and still I try. I don't
a little
know.
bit of sonic information when it comes to your stacks and harmonies, because right now it's really just like a lead vocal. It sounds like.
Right. Yeah, I'm waiting to do all of that.
Perfect. Oh, okay. Good. Then good. So I would just say add those things, and let me see the way you build tension here.
Signs, I'm changing my mind. I can't deny. Why can I stay? I can't deny.
I think it feels like it kind of blends in, which might just be the way it does it, but there's no like section of breath.
I do that in the second verse going into the second chorus. I do like a complete breakdown first.
Gotcha.
So the second verse is broken down and then it does like a little more like, moment of silence kind of.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So I do like this. I like all the lyrics. It's very conversational. You have good rhyme schemes here. So I'm not even going to touch any of that stuff because I understood everything. I think it's some good stuff. Lonely in crowds, different girls, same bar, like all that stuff got really good visuals. So they did a great job on all of that. Really, it's just about sonic information, tightening the mix. I think your voice sounds cool. That's all I got for you, brother.
Oh, cool. I appreciate it. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think this really starts to bring out like a lot of the things that you've probably been working towards as like an artist. So I think you're on the right track for all of this. And I think the concept is good. Like, why can't I stay in love? Like a lot of people feel that. So it's something that everyone has gone through or goes through. So I think you're on the right path. And the sound of it is kind of like a mixture of trap and a mixture of singer-songwriter in a cool way. It's like in between this really cool thing. I don't know what you would put it in other than it sounds cool. It sounds fresh. It sounds relatable. So all those things are good. The sounds are unique. Your groove is cool. It makes you fall right into it. Listen to the storyline. So the things like I said, man, just mix sonic information, tension and release. Add some of those little spices in there, but I really like it.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Let's see. Who else do they raise your hand if I haven't played a song yet real quick? John Mark. All right. And Ashley. Okay. Ashley, gotcha. All right. John Mark.
It's going to be a music based, so it's not going to have any lyrics in it.
All right, cool. Also, John McNulty, just in case I don't know, I didn't hear the whole track, but if you do have anything drum wise that just like little tiny fills that go into your sections, that is the one thing I would say add in if you don't have it later on.
That's good.
Because the groove right now, I'm here at my head, I'm like, it's the same pattern, but if it doesn't have anything of like, then you kind of know it sounds like a loop, and that'd be like the only thing that I would add to it. All right, cool. All right, cool. Well, the first thing goes on, it depending on who you're pitching these things to, it will be a little tough for them to sing over something once you have already a melody line that's that strong over the part like that. I don't want to tell her, just telling lies. I mean, that's so hooky that if someone hears that, that's where they're going to gravitate towards, and it's going to be hard. So was this a track, or is this like you were putting in a little top line part in there? Or?
It's a track that I just kind of started building based off the vibes of it, and I like to use a lot of the arcade sounds and stuff like that, like the vox chops, but I do realize that like it is taking up a lot of space, so I'll probably have to either take it out or settle on it just being an instrumental going forward. But I was kind of taking some risks, so I wanted to kind of see what that kind of open space kind of sounded like.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the first thing I would say is that melody is so catchy that it's going to take away from any vocalist. So if someone tries to sing a lead and they have that part over there, it's gonna be really hard because your ears gonna be split between both those moments melodically. There was one place where you were, I hear what you're doing. You're doing like one snare sound, and the next one was a different snare sound, and then you had a clap in there. So the clap wasn't on the 2 or 4, and so it was like snare, then different snare, then different snare, then different snare, then clap, but it was on the upbeat. So in that section, I remember going like, okay. And I think it was like an impact clap. So it was like, psh, yeah. But it was happening. You know what I'm talking about? That section I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So some of that in there, I was a little confused by. I don't know if the snares needed to be different right there completely, because it was really just setting up that part, that section. I like the movement of it. I like the guitar and that little plucks that you had kind of like with a roll end of the high end. So it sounded like a little muted. So where a vocal could go. The one thing I don't hear in this is like a lead part of like, that's the lead melody. So if there's a drop or there's a certain section, I don't hear that section, which a lot of times in music like this, there's a moment where the music then takes over for a bit. But if this is just like a track that someone's writing to about a vibe, then I think it's a really good track for people to write to, because you can start something that definitely has a cool energy to. And I think what you're really good at, which is just because it's who you are and because you listen to so much music, you're really good at creating interesting things. So that way your ear's like, oh, what's that? And like, what's that? And like, what's that? And you're really good at creating a groove because you know what you would move to versus what you wouldn't. And so like right when you're coming in, you just already start bobbing to this thing because you instinctively know what you want to hear. So those two things are really important. Like groove is so important that some people, they're just so on the beat that they don't have groove. And so you have that naturally, and you want to make things that are interesting, and you also know what you would write to. So you're like, this has to have something that I would write to. So I think it's all really good. So the only thing I would say is there's stuff that you could add. If anything, it's just like you could add things to it. You can add more underneath moments. You can add more tension. You can add a little bit of more of a fill on a certain part. It's just really about, there's enough here to get started, but I feel like it could be just beefed up a bit more. It sounds like it's a little bit thin to me. Especially if we're talking about like a track that you then want to pitch to an artist and be like, this is the one that the whole club is going to, because this sounds like a song that people would dance to. So if people are going to dance to a song, they got to feel it like they want to dance to it. So I will say this to anyone who's watching, when you're making a pop song that people like, let's say, might just listen to on the radio, and it's like, okay, that's a pop song. When you listen to a song that's a pop song that people are going to dance to because the groove is making you dance to it, like an Adele song, people probably slow dance to, but they're not like in the club, like, they're not on the island dancing to it. So when you have something like that, that's added, it's important to bring the weight of that bass and those, the kicks and the things that are going to, if you're going to build up a brass, like even if it's a low brass, like, if you're having some of those things to give it the island feel, just to bring elements of that thickness on that end. Because when you went to the guitar part, it got kind of muted, and then you're like, okay, this is a cool guitar part, but what's going to keep the body of this going? So those are the things I would do. So just reference other songs that do that really well, and then keep your creative ear of changing things. And I think once you amass all of those things, it's going to be a nice culmination.
Sweet. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Okay, cool. Let's see. All right. You said Ashley, right? Ashley Bear.
Oh, I also have one from last time.
Oh, from last time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Well, I'll have to go back. That's a whole different sheet. So give me 1 second. Okay, here we go.
My nails get short as I can toy my fingertips between my lips. I'm chipping away all day, leaving no trace of turtle and polish. I'm starting to think there's something wrong with me. At least that's what other people say. I'm starting to think there's something wrong with me. Maybe I should just believe what they say, or maybe it's time I press rewind to revive my mind's desire. As I press rewind, my future gets redefined. Maybe I'll be alright if I can press rewind on this, okay? Maybe I'll be alright as I'm trying to press rewind. I'm sorry I can't come to the phone right now.
All right, cool. So first thing, I'm just gonna go through things that are hit most in the order that I remember them. One is that vocal towards the end was piercing to almost where it was peaking. So I would definitely say make sure you have a compressor and make sure your vocal riding those parts, because when it got to that section, it was pushing through all the sonic energy that you had in your musical track. And you know what part I'm talking about? Okay. So I would just say, make sure you're riding those notes, and either you're doing it, there's a thing called vocal rider that actually will ride your things, or just compress it and do it manually. The next thing I would say is you kind of gave away some of the notes of rewind in the pre-chorus. The pre-chorus is really good. You're like something about they might say something's wrong with me, and you went to those high notes, and that was like really cool. And I felt like that was satiating, and so the next part I thought was going to go to something else, and the next section kind of sounds similar, and the same about rewind and that. And then after you sang the rewind enough, you also went to another section which also said rewind. So I felt like there was almost like too many sections. to follow along with and gravitate to everything. The verse and the pre-chorus I got. And then when you went to the chorus, and I don't have the lyrics. Wait, let me look to see if I have them here. Let me pull these up real quick. Okay. So it's time to press rewind to revamp my mind's design. As I press rewind, my future gets redefined. Okay, so there's a little bit of a disconnect with me because you're like, it's time to do something as I do something. So it's almost like saying, I'm going to press the start button. And as I press the start button, this happens. So it's almost like two things are happening. If it's time to do something, then we're talking about the time it's doing it, not it's time to do it. It's done. So I felt like there's a big jump in there with actual understanding, but I get what you're doing. You're kind of just emoting your thought process. So I understand it. So I'm not against it. I'm just telling you as a listener where I got kind of stuck. Now, the interesting part about what you're doing is that now that you're learning production, you're taking how you hear and putting it into this. So there's a lot of quirkiness in the production, which is cool because you're like, oh, that's a random high sound that comes out of nowhere. And like, that's a random just splash that comes out of nowhere. And that's a random thing. And it sounds random. It sounds like someone walked into a room and there's a bunch of clothes on the floor and someone's just like, oh, what's going on in the room? But then the person who is in the room is like, I know where everything's at. Here's my crayon. Here's my checkbook. Here's my blah, blah. And you're like, didn't know that stuff was underneath those socks, but you do. And I feel like that's what it's expressing, right? Which is cool. So I want you to continue on the path of being expressive, but definitely tonally, it's imperative to understand, like, it was hard to hear your vocals in the first verse because of the mix. So I think a lot of it's just like mixing things, understanding the placement and then structural things. But I like the quirkiness of it. I like the interesting lyrics. I think, there's some honesty in everything that you're doing so people can genuinely connect with that. And I do notice that this is a 4-minute 21-second song. So it's imperative that these things are really looked at, because it'll be hard for a listener who isn't a friend of yours to listen to 4 minutes and 30 seconds if not everything is really fine-tuned, because an average listener will start to hear some of those nuanced level things that might not be pleasing to the ear, and they're going to shut it off. And so it's good to create these things, but it's also good to when you get to those points, like, okay, that's vocal sounds way too loud. Like, we got to pop that down, or this vocal, I can't hear at all. I got to pop that up. But, this is all part of the learning phase. So, that's why you bring them here. And anything what's that?
I should have prefaced with that these are definitely scratch vocals and everything. Now that I've learned with, especially taking Shawn's course, it's like, I'm like, these are not up to par. I even played it for my brother the other day, and I was like, I hopped on it, like, this is not good. He's like, I can't hear it. I'm like, well, yeah, because I'm not studying this stuff. I'm like, this is not. And it does end, like, that's something, I'm glad you brought up the time, because it does end technically around like 3:30, but I have like this weird, crazy like outro for a minute.
Gotcha.
So, like, you hear you get the rest of the weird banjo underlying sound, like you get the rest of that leading in. So it's like, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting. So, I'm always about artistry. Like, if you can be completely unique and don't sound like anyone else, that's great. And as long as you keep everyone's attention, then that's great. That's the job of music, is just emotionally connecting with other people and through your own storylines and your own way of looking at the world. So I think what you're doing, if I said, who does Ashley sound like? I'd be like, I don't know. Sounds like herself. So keep going down that road. I would just say to define these moments with just a little bit more articulation. So that way it's not about, is it just herself, but is it herself? And then people want to genuinely listen to it. Because once you can cross both of those roads, then you have something really, 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 really special. So what I would say is there's a mixture between, is it catharticism? I think it's catharticism, where you're just like releasing your emotions into like a form. There's a mixture of that and actually writing songs that you want people to sing along with. Okay. And I think right now you're still in a cathartic moment, which is good. But what I would say is listen to Nirvana. And the reason why I'm saying that is you listen to Nirvana's lyrics. Nirvana was cathartic, but it was also enough to where people can gravitate towards and they could sing along with it. And so when you're saying, like, to the chorus, you're like, it's time for me to press rewind. And as I press rewind, my future's redefined. It sounds like you're talking to yourself. It doesn't sound like you're talking for people to sing along with you. So I would just add that little notch if you're trying to connect with other people to sing along with your stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome. All right, and Christopher, let's see. Christopher Tom, let me search this real quick. What's your email, Christopher?
I think it's christopher.tom.sadm@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or it's centraliavillage@yahoo.com.
Okay. Here we go. 238. All right.
Don't you know it's getting late to stare into the void? So close your tired eyes, we'll make it through the night. Summer days of you and me, my friend, shoegazing in the record shop. Girl, I know it's kinda hard to see, but I still dream of better days. I know the.
All right, cool. Christopher, did you listen to the Beatles?
I do. I'm a huge Beatles fan.
How did I guess? All right, cool. All right. Well, I think, it's definitely very Beatles inspired, which I think is cool. I like the ideas of all this stuff. Let me look through your lyrics. Don't you know it's getting late to stare into the void? So close your eyes, close your tired eyes. I'll make it through the night. Summer days of you and me, my friend, shoegazing at the shop. I'm looking for a rhyme scheme here, and I don't see one. I'm just looking at how you wrote the word. So it says, don't you know it's getting late to stare into the void? So none of those words rhyme. So close your tired eyes, we'll make it through the night. None of those words rhyme. Summer days of you and me, my friend.
I thought that was kind of an internal rhyme.
Oh, wait, which word?
Tired eyes and night.
Oh,
and that's
so
like a
close your
similar.
tired eyes, we'll make it through the night. Oh, gotcha. Okay, eyes and night. Okay, there's like soft rhymes. Okay. So basically, the first line doesn't rhyme at all, and then the second two lines you're saying have a soft rhyme, right?
Oh yeah, the second verse rhymes, I think.
No, I'm talking about the first verse I'm reading, right?
Oh.
Summer days of you and me, my friend, shoegazing in the record shop. Girl, I know it's kind of hard to see, but I still dream of better days. That doesn't really rhyme either.
That's true.
So I would just say probably look into it, because if I'm bringing something like this up, it probably just means you weren't thinking of it, which is totally fine. Sometimes it's good to have another perspective to kind of look at something and go, oh, what about that? And then you go, oh, maybe I wasn't even thinking about rhymes. I was just thinking about how it flowed and how I heard it in my head. I'm not saying it's bad by any means, but I am saying it will be hard to remember something if there aren't rhymes enough. So what I always try to explain to everyone is, past what I feel, because it has nothing to do with how I feel about things. I'm talking about just statistically, the reason why people can remember nursery rhymes is because they rhyme. They're called nursery rhymes. And that's why you can remember them your whole entire life. You can remember a nursery rhyme that you heard at 5 years old till you're 80. The reason for that is because of rhyme schemes and because of melody that follows structure. So I feel like there's some really cool stuff here where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And that's interesting. And if you could just insert a little bit more of a rhyme scheme, then it'll be even deeper contact with the listener who doesn't know your music to not only say that's cool, but remember, walk away actually remembering the pieces in little sections. I think some of the, obviously it sounds like a demo. So I think your voice sounds like very honest in their delivery. And as you build it up, you might put strings and real things in those places where it sounds like it samples, or if you're going to build this up into like a record. Now, as far as the chorus, I didn't really know what the chorus was. So it was hard. What's that?
I'm sorry. It was meant to be like the part where it's like summer days of you and me, my friend.
Okay, let me hear that part. Okay.
World has, but I still dream of better days.
Oh, so that's already past the chorus. Okay, hold on.
Summer days of you and me, my friend. Shoegazing in the record shop.
So I guess shoegazing in the record shop. What does that mean?
Well, it's a reference to like the genre shoegaze, since the person I wrote it about, we're both kind of into like shoegaze.
What's shoegaze?
So it's like this genre that's it's hard to explain, but kind of like alternative rock or like dream pop. And it has a very big focus on like the textures and like of like the guitars.
Okay, cool. All right. Make it listen.
Girl, I know it's kinda hard to see, but I still dream of better days.
So yeah, so like what happened is when you went to the part of "But I Still Dream of Better Days," I got, like I said, the rhyme wasn't there, so I wasn't sure exactly what was happening, and it said "Summer days of you and me, my friend, shoegazing record shop." So I thought it was actually happening, and then you said, "Girl, I know it's hard to see, but I still dream of better days," and I'm like, "But it sounds like a good day. He was just shoegazing with someone."
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? So I didn't know that the listener, which I'm thinking is you or then me, because that's what happens in songs like this. People put themselves in the shoes. When someone says, "Don't you know, it's getting late to stare into the void. So close your tired eyes, won't make it through the night." I'm like, oh, okay. So he's talking to someone who's sleeping next to him. And then "Summer days of you and me, my friend, shoegazing record shop. Girl, I know it's hard to see, but I still dream of better days." And you're like, wait, there's better days than this? I thought we're in the day, and you just said the night, but now we're in the day. So there's a lot of things that are a bit confusing conversationally that I really didn't know where the focus was until we're kind of talking it out. And what I would say is that if you could really sit down and try to make it more clear, even though it's cool artistically, it might be hard for an average person to understand what you're talking about, the time of what you're talking about, the order of how things are happening, what's better days, why are these not the better days? It's a little bit confusing. So I think what you do have is, because, like I said, the reason about the Beatles is you have a sonic thing that sounds cool, because I'm like, oh, that sounds like classic music. And there's a theory of cool melody here because it follows something very nice. If you could then insert really good lyric that tells you the images and you feel like you're there with the person, then I think you have a better shot of really connecting with listeners who don't know your music. Otherwise, it could just be like, oh, that kind of sounds cool. He's trying to sound like the Beatles, but not. Does that make sense?
I think I see what you mean. Thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right, cool. So that being said, everyone, I think we got through all the songs tonight. Appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully we are able to give you some good information. And like I said, to anyone who's really serious about this, if you're really trying to up your songwriting game, I think there's 35 of us are going to be in a songwriting camp Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's 3 hours per day. You also can watch the replays and join in. But I posted it in the chat. I'll post it in the chat one more time real quick, just in case if anyone wants it. And it's just going to be a really good time because all of the songwriters who are teaching, I'm one of them. Everyone's extremely good. And in some cases, they're some of the best songwriters I've ever met. And I've been over, 300 songwriting rooms. So the people who are going to be teaching here are people who I'd highly recommend learning from, because if you can get their information and get their mindsets and add them to your songs, it could literally be life-changing. And you can do that in a very short period of time. That being said, good night hanging out with everyone. It was fun. Cool. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Adam.
My pleasure. Later, Shawn. John. Later, Chris.